My name's Bahamut. We are in week number 6, day number 1 of our group stage, and I am joined by Grubby and McIntyre for another amazing weekend of best of fives of Blizz Heroes matches. McIntyre, how are you doing, my friend? How was your week leading into week 6?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I actually have had a long week, but excited for some Heroes of the Storm this weekend. And this weekend will be a lot of good matches ahead of us, so excited for it.
Now, in that excitement, which PSD underwear did you choose for today's broadcast?
So I am rocking the PSD underwear on right now. I promise I am. The ones we've gone with today are the Naruto's, actually. He's just eating a bowl of ramen. Super sick. Very comfortable. Excited to enjoy. It's like watching cartoons in your underwear, right, on the weekend. But I get to watch Heroes of the Storm.
It's so very good. Now, Grubby, my friend, how has your week been? How have your matches been, as well as I've been seeing you play a lot of Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot. It's been really fun and challenging. Rank goes up and down, and at the end of the day, you enjoy the process. We're a little on the downturn now with the rank, but looking forward to watching some CCL, learning a bit, and I hope everyone is watching it as well, because I saw that not all of our teammates in Storm League were perfect yet, so there's still more to learn.
Yeah, I'm definitely in that camp as someone who needs to learn a little bit more, as well as someone who maybe needs to win a few points back next week, as I dropped over 1,000 points on Tuesday. But, you know, what we can look at is the pricing that we've had so far for HeroesCCL. We have so much to talk about for this, so let's break this down really quickly. 60% of any Twitch bits, direct donations, merchandise sales will be going to the prize pool for the players. You can see how that 60% is broken down to first place and then onward. On the right-hand side, you see that there is 40% that does go back to production cost to be able to create amazing graphics like this. And through your donations, through your generosity and your belief in Heroes of the Storm Esports, we have raised $11,522.33. I started saying that, I was like, whoa, no. There's an extra one there, which is $1? No, but it's very exciting. We want to thank you all at home for supporting Heroes of the Storm and supporting HeroesCCL. This is really, really exciting every week to see the prize pool grow and to see your support for such an amazing event. And I love it so much, Grubby, and it's just really cool to see the support from the community coming back into Season 2 of CCL, if not even stronger than Season 1.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about CCL Season 3 or onwards, or if that's going to happen at all, but support like this, just like subscribers to a streamer, is a great way to show that you are supporting, you are loving the content, and you hope that it continues. So not just are you supporting this season, but it's a proof of esports passion existence in the game. So thank you so much for the support. And we only got 2 play days left to the season, actually. Today being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
2 play weekends.
Play weekends, yeah. So you can actually go ahead and look at the standings so far before we get into this play weekend of games. And McIntyre, as we're taking a look at this, what is maybe just, what are your impressions of the standings? Do you think that things will continue to kind of hold where they are, or maybe we see a little bit of a shakeup this weekend?
It was a really weird week last week. 30K losing another game. We had Chili Mountain, who was the team that beat 30K. They also lost to Granite, giving them kind of their first win as well. So the bottom of the pack, I think, is kind of figuring out who's heading to the middle, right? And I think over this weekend, we will get to decide that. Simplicity and Storm still at the top, same records. Simplicity being ahead, I think, because of a few match differences, but they've obviously gotten that spot now at the top in our kind of positions here, and this weekend will decide who goes to the very top. Do they continue to maintain, and then where in the middle of the pack do these other teams end up being?
You made a very good point on Simplicity and Storm. As I'm actually checking the stats myself, there's a 1 map difference between those two teams. Simplicity is 14-7, Storm being 14-8. And I also want to go ahead and take a moment here to thank our sponsor PSD, who has joined us for Season 2 of HeroesCCL. You can find the best skins for your IRL underwear game at PSD and get 20% off with their own special promo code WISDOM at checkout. You can type !PSD in chat to see the curated Wisdom set of underwear, and It's bananas, and I'm saying that because I myself am wearing the banana underwear. They're wonderful. They're extremely comfortable. To quote Ned Flanders, it feels like you're wearing nothing at all. Moving on from that, though, Grubby, we have an exciting weekend of games. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have for today. And what are you most excited about from these two best of fives?
Getting my own PSD underwear soon. I think it's still in transit. I might as well be wearing nothing at all for how much I'm missing that one. But for today's matches, oh man, all games are gonna be good, I think. WildHeart Esports and 30K very well could have been top 2 in the league as well at this stage. Very promising and very strong roster, but they're actually in 3rd and 4th slots, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they're in 3rd and 4th slots. So this is really important, possibly the most important match yet, considering we only have 2 playing weekends left, 2 play days essentially for the teams. And top 3 is guaranteed top 4. But if you're rank 4 in the league, you actually have to do 1 knockout match against someone that came up, the strongest team that came up from the bottom 4. So this match between 30K and WildHeart could very well determine who will end up top 3 at the end of the season. So that's why that is my pick for tonight.
Well, we can actually immediately get into checking out the WildHeart roster right now and get into this first best of 5 of the evening. We're actually afternoon, depending on where you are. It might be evening. But we got Pit Kid, Zergling, Weary Day, Unaverted Buds, and Mason Blaze for the side of WildHeart. An exciting roster. Pit Kid always innovating on that main tank. Well, I guess I do air quotes with this main tank role. But the big thing, too, to note is Zergling's offlane. I always very much enjoy their offlane play. Over on the other side of the battleground here for 30K McIntyre, any expectations or excitement from this roster for you?
Yeah, this is a roster that came out so strong. They seemed like they really had a hold on the kind of the meta and what they wanted to play. And then this patch hit, and it's kind of shaken up the characters and the strategies that they had set and kind of their activation on them. I will say for me that this stand up for the week and a player who I think really needs to show up this week is going to be Liam. We've seen him on that Kerrigan now twice. I think both games he's had opportunities to really kind of strive and set his team above the others, but he's kind of come up short. So we'll see. For me, he's the player I want to watch today, see if he can find himself again, because I know he's a really strong player and one that really leads to the success of 30K.
It's just an exciting roster, an exciting matchup. I was peeking at some of the stats here before we get into the map itself, because I was curious. I was like, ooh, is there any sort of any continuation of priority bans on these maps? And we can actually look at the map breakdown and find out where we're going to for map number 1. It's really, really cool, because I like how things are unfolding, and I have a little note here, but let's talk about how we're getting to Tomb of the Spider Queen, as that will be the map choice of WildHeart. 30K won the initial coin flip, opting for first pick priority and banning out Towers of Doom. WildHeart Esports banning out Alterac Pass. And a fun little fact, WildHeart has not played a single Alterac Pass map this season of HeroesCCL, and so has 30K. Or I guess 30K as well. So neither of these teams go to Alterac Pass, but we could see a potential Garden of Terror game, which I'm always excited to. I just love that map. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of different play style. It's a lot like Towers of Doom for me, actually. There's so many different ways to draft on the map. But as we're heading into Tomb of the Spider Queen for map number 1 here, Grubby, is this a realm where you prioritize your rotation heavy wave clear type heroes, or do you just go into the brawliness of Tomb of the Spider Queen? How do you play this map? That's what I want to find out.
Brawl, scaling, and poke, I think, are key. Poke to stop the opponent from turning in, and scaling because team fights are inevitable and plentiful. So if you have someone like a Vala or a Zul'jin that can scale really, really well, but something like Junkrat that doesn't scale particularly unless you get the quest at 4, which most teams haven't been picking. Junkrat's still really good at poking and controlling the pay stations. Getting the web weavers can be very powerful. Sometimes it's not, when defense of the other team, of the defensive team, is powerful. So you can focus on defense by taking Ragnaros, or you can focus on offense by going for a kill comp. Like you said, there's many different draft possibilities.
And I actually saw something very interesting this past week when I was casting a bunch of matches from the European region, McIntyre, and I also want to get Grubby's thoughts on this too. I was actually seeing some teams play Tomb a lot like Towers of Doom, where you actually get something like a Leoric or a Zul, and you double soak between top mid, and then you core 4 push through bottom lane. Do you feel like this is a map where that's actually possible, or is this one of those things where that is a possibility because it's maybe at a lower level of play, and that's more punished at the CCL level, McIntyre?
I think this is a very comparable map to Towers of Doom for sure. The important part is that you just need to make sure and manage where the other team is at, and you can do that a few different ways, right? You can put a tank to follow them around. You can just move as a 4-man and move them with you, right? So being able to move the other team as a 4-man to defend a bottom push is a good way to keep track on where they're at, right? That way they can never get gems turned in. And so I definitely could see the strategy happening. The only thing is you need to make sure that that person that's double soaking is safe and able to do that without getting ganked, because ganking on this map is very powerful, right? And getting picks leads to turn-ins typically, and that leads to leads. So both teams starting the draft off, I will say we see 2 supports banned out with the Uther and Lucio. Pretty common now, but target bans to the offlane being the Hogger and the Urel. So some respects going out to the solo laners of both of these teams. Tyke is going to be first picked by 30k. I think it's a great standard pick. Some spaghetti and meatballs possibly coming together. No meatballs right now, but the rest are there. And then the Malfurion and D.Va. I think the D.Va pickup from Zergling, super important. Again, offlane's getting targeted. We need something safe that can soak without getting picked, and D.Va has that extra life, the baby D.Va, being able to get kind of survive really sticky situations, right? So I like that priority. This also allows them to not focus on offlane anymore and be able to ban something like Medivh.
And just such an elaborate breakdown. Thank you so much, McIntyre. It's actually, there's so much good information here, but I also want to get Grubby's thoughts on this draft that is unfolding. There's a ton in front of us, and I want to see what's stewing in your brain, Grubby.
Well, WildHeart cannot ignore the fact that Tychus is on the field. He can be really good in deleting a single hero, usually a frontliner. And there are several tanks that can try to deal with Tychus. Johanna and Mei can blind him during the minigun. You can also get Garage, who has who abuses ranged assassins. Doesn't work against Odin, but it does work against the minigun. Or they can say, we're not going to focus on Tychus at all, because now that WildHeart is choosing their draft strategy, they can also say, no, we're going to focus on Diablo by picking up things like Leoric or maybe even a Zul'jin to try and burn the tank. So are they countering Tychus or are they countering Diablo? Wow.
I like this a lot. I love seeing the large lad come into play here. What kind of stitches is this going to be? Obviously, it's maintained, but build-wise is exciting. I'm going to assume it's going to be probably prioritizing those hook talents at 7, 13, 20 as well. Really strong hook play coming out from a lot of our CCL players so far into Season 2 since we've had the rework of stitches. Though, McIntyre, we're getting into our last 2 picks here from 30k. What are your thoughts on this Deathwing Sonya? My God.
Yeah, that is tough. And I was gonna kind of highlight with WildHeart, they need something that can finish kills, right? Like if we can't get the takedown, then hooking something with a Malfurion root, with a Junkrat knockback, traps, all of that stuff is great, and locking someone down is great too. But Deathwing cannot be locked down. Sonya, if she chooses to go Wrath, that 50% CC reduction. Diablo obviously has tons of health, right? All the while Stu called with the biotic armor. If the Q is able to land. Greymane is a good choice, right? We're going to probably see the Cursed Bullet from this Greymane. Trying to hit that percent health at the beginning. The only issue that I have with the Cursed Bullet, while I think that it is the correct play here, is still just finishing those kills. Once you get the person to a 30% health, who finishes from there? And I think that that's the problem that WildHeart's going to have. However, if they are able to kind of get to the later stages of the game, as Grubby said, I think it was a really good comment, Grubby, to say that you do need scaling on a map like Spider Queen, right? Late game happens, fighting happens, and you get to the point where if you can win that team fight in the later stages, that's usually how you close out on the map. It is possible the Stitches hook to get that master hooker talent and just throw so many hooks. We've seen against Deathwing comps a lot of the time, Deathwing's not always on the ground, and that's when they're at their weakest. With that said, though, I do like 30k's comp more. I think the Tychus pick is awesome. I continue to harp on him week after week, and he also scales incredibly well with that Odin at level 20, right? Big red button, being able to drop the nukes, and then that lasts for a full 40 seconds. So it allows you to get turn-ins, allows you to fight over bosses. All the windows of time where you need to make something happen, you're going to be in that Odin. He'll be able to provide all the range that they need. They should be able to just continue to pressure the map, push the map, and gain control of it just through the health pools that they have, the durability, and even the team fight. So 30K is going to be my team here. See what WildHeart can do, those hooks, if they'll be as naughty as Stitches himself.
Alrighty, thank you so much, McIntyre, for the breakdown as we are just now into map number 1, Tomb of the Spider Queen. On the left-hand side, we have WildHeart Esports. Zergling will be playing D.Va, Weary Day on the Malfurion, Unaverted on the Junkrat, Pit Kid on the Stitches, and Buds playing the Greymane. Over in the red, we've got 30K, X-Ray on the Diablo. I charge. We have Hazuhab's Deathwing. We've got a Dino Tychus, Yasu on the Stukov, and Liam on Sonya. I would agree here, Grubby. I feel like 30K does have the stronger draft, and the scaling is really good for them. I can see opportunities where WildHeart can really turn things around or catch the enemy team off guard. But what are your thoughts getting into this Tomb of the Spider Queen map?
Yeah, I think Stitches always has that X factor, Bahamut. For the most part, I agree with the both of you and McIntyre's insightful analysis that 30K probably has all the tools they need to deal with this, and the difficulty for WildHeart to finish kills after a cursed bullet. But you can never count out Stitches. A hook, I think it's going to be Putrid Bile. I think it should be against this comp. It can be Gorge, but realistically, it should not be required. With the Malfurion roots and the Junkrat traps and mines, I think that's enough to make Hook's kills count. The Stitches can get those kills in the mid to late game. The question will be, how much does WildHeart fall behind, if anything? And they're going to kill Liam to say, why fall behind when we can just get a kill? Nice root there by Weary Day. And first blood to WildHeart.
A very good first blood. I want to note as well, we do see the Hungry for More Stitches at level 1, and we also just see Hazuab's body blocking a hook onto Tychus right there. But we'll see that Hungry for More. It was changed in the most recent patch where you now have 5% baseline, and the regeneration globe stacking is now 20 instead of the 15 necessary. But it actually ends up, totaling out at the exact same mark when it comes to movement speed because you have that initial 5%. What I do like about the Hungry for More is when you get into the later half of the game, when you get into level 16 with the Pulverize, I believe is the name of the talent, you have that 80% slow for 0.75 seconds. It's a really good way to, you get the slam, you can still chase in because you have that extra movement speed, and you can body block, sustain the damage as a Stitches, sustain the tanking as well. And I really like this talent for Tomb since you have these double soaks constantly coming out. But right now, WildHeart Esports, they're playing the map like I've been seeing in Heroes Lounge, where there's a lot of pressure through bottom lane with more than just the solo laner. This is very interesting and a cool priority coming into HeroesCCL.
Yeah, we've seen that in CCL once or twice before as well, but I wasn't sure if it was an aberration or something that has been fundamentally starting to form. I suppose they're playing it very much like how on Alterac Pass you're continually feeding the Hogger camp into the mid lane, saying, hey, this is the most spammable camp. In this case, it's the Siege camp. Let's start to work on that and make the solo lane an island. Nice hook there on Stukov. He has reactive Ballista support, 75 physical armor, the Deathwing counter engage, and he actually survives.
We also had a nuclear option from the D.Va as well to increase that mecha explosion speed. It still didn't yield a kill. Junkrat found a few more stacks on his taste for explosion. Diablo sitting at 46 out of the 100 stacks for his Black Soulstone, and Greymane and crew grab the camp on the left-hand side, with the Sonya still managing bottom, Tychus in top, soaking up. This is just a nice start to the map, with a kill in favor for the side of 30K with that initial hook in the first minute or so. But we're 3 minutes in, and we have a long way to go on this Tomb map.
And we can see that Junkrat has gone for the scaling talent as well, the taste for explosions. If I'm not wrong, that's the first time we've seen that Junkrat playstyle in CCL. It's mostly been trap build every time. The chattering teeth and the big ass.
It's also, we talked about it last weekend, Grubby, but we didn't unfortunately get to see it. And because I started seeing this build come out a lot more from just a variety of players, or even in Storm League. So I agree with you. I'm liking to see this scaling Junkrat build. I'm waiting to see. Okay, no, I thought there was maybe some sort of engagement within the rotations, but everyone's playing it safe and sound right now. That initial kill, I feel like, shook 30K a little bit. And 30K, like, X-Ray, I know he plays a very defensive Diablo, but this is comfortable rotations as the engagement pops off onto Buds. He does get a Dark Flight onto X-Ray. Diva Mech will fall. There's a lurking arm underneath that as well. Sonya spins through, and that will be a kill over to the side of 30K. Looking to engage onto Weary Day, but no follow-up in front of the fort front tower and bottom lane here, Grubby.
Yeah, nice kill there by 30K. That actually secures them the turn in as Yazoo is offloading, so is Diablo, and WildHeart is forced to give that up. So the first objective to 30K, they get their first kills, and a good bit of gem denial as well, as WildHeart lost most of the gems that Diva dropped. And let's see how they play this. There's many different ways you can go. You can go 1-3-1. You can all group up in one lane to attack and spread later. But it looks like the 1-3-1 approach for now by 30K, whereas WildHeart, 4 mid, Diva bot, and then they'll be looking to go top after they clear mid. But nice space creation here by 30K, preventing early damage being dealt to their Webweaver.
It's a very, very strong tactic that you're just talking about. We don't discuss this very often, and it's not something that's educated per se, or it's not discussed a lot in these games where sometimes the Webweaver descends, one team is pre-pushing the lane, and the other team gets a little bit of clear onto that Webweaver. This is, as you were saying, great space creation. Hazuabs was in that rotation to stop Junkrat from clearing the top lane before the top lane Webweaver crashes into the 30K, the WildHeart front gate, but a huge hook. That it's a Hazuab stun with the Earth Shatter, and X-Ray lives through this engagement, but it's through Hazuab's Deathwing that he's able to do so. Yeah,
Hazuabs was very mindful of the incoming hook, but very good job by Pitkit to still angle it right past the Deathwing to find the Diablo. They got a good bit of damage and a bit of a scare from 30K. So assessing the damage that has been dealt, we have 20% of the mid fort, 5% of the top fort, and most of the wall. And then not much on the south side. And a bit of counter damage by WildHeart against the bottom fort. Overall, a respectable turn-in, but the pre-level 10 turn-ins are usually not very spectacular.
Sometimes we'll see the back-to-back turn-in, and that's usually good, but a big leap from the Liam. And I mean, McIntyre said, out of the roster of 30K, he said that Liam needs to show up today and make the plays, and right there, that's a big play. That's a wonderful hook, a great slam, and a clap back from the side of WildHeart Esports. I want to make a quick point here, though, Grubby. The level 7 from Stitches, not only do you get that cooldown reduction and the mana return, but you also, your hook deals damage equal to 5% of their maximum health. So this hook is actually a good way, like, if the Deathwing does eat a hook from that, it's not that bad. Zergling, got massively shoved into the fort. The grenade's not enough. Tychus, but X-Ray's coming in. He wants the overpowered Deathwing. Can't get the snipe. There's the lurking arm. Zergling is on Mission Impossible. Call Zergling Tom Cruise as he's able to get away. Unfortunately, that will be Malfurion going down, though.
If people are wondering, by the way, how Diablo died mid, he got gorged. That's the heroic of choice by WildHeart. They gorged Diablo. He tried to escape past the Bruiser camp, and he got hooked and yoinked back in. Man, Zergling with 16 life, but Malfurion died for his sins, I suppose, for taking some of the attention away from 30K. Maybe that helped save Diva as well. As there is the second turn in by 30K. Back to back, and this one should be more spectacular. Oh, another gorge on Diablo!
Is there an Earth Shatter from Hazu? There's going to be a root from Malfurion. The Sleep X-Ray so chunked.
Dude, that
it will
combo.
Go down. That is a very, very good combo.
They put the concussive and the root. He gets rooted. The concussive procs. He sleeps in the new location. Then they hit him with the cursed bullet and everything else. That's a nasty CC combo, and Stukov has no cleanse for it, as Sonya leaps at.
Has to leap in a disengage factor. There will be a Riptire from Junkrat connecting on to Sonya. Stukov will go down to the Greymane on the bottom of our screen. This is falling apart for 30K's second turn-in right now. Like, this should have been a ton of siege value. They just got the kill onto Malfurion. They had a little bit of positional advantage, but that Gorge, Grubby, that is the X factor you had mentioned in the draft. Stitches is a bit of an X factor when it comes to the hooks, the Gorges, and the displacement. And speaking of hooks, Stitches has level 13, which means 40% range increase on that hook.
Yeah. quest completed. He's got the range. Let's look at the other level 13s. Poo poo poo. There's the finishing power. Just lose your diva mech, and you can poo 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 into the target. That's a bit of nice extra damage. We get Ripper Air. Okay, for Junkrat's rotational power. And there's another hook. They gorge. Leap
from
nice leap to prevent the root.
Wonderful shutdown on Malfurion. Buds comes in trying to make the play onto X-Ray. He's getting chunked. Liam stepping in. Hazuab's is here to help out. Bellowing Roar is up and available if necessary, but not going to be utilized, Grubby.
Yeah, didn't use it at this time. It's a fairly short range. Usually works best when melee are attacking you, or if you cataclysm into the team. Oh! Max range nearly was nipping at the heels of Stukov. Liam really saved that fight there with the leap on Malfurion, preventing the follow-up route. Tranquility was on a few seconds cooldown. We now have 30k. You know, despite getting hook picked off sometimes, they're still controlling the map quite well. They're up at Fort Bahamut. They're grabbing the siege camp. They've stayed even in experience. They just need to prevent WildHeart from turning in those 134 gems.
Oh, the travel distance I thought was going to be way too long from Hazuab's, but it is going to be A-okay. Oh, wait, another hook. Okay. Do you want to jump into like a WildHeart comm or something to try and hear how they're trying to turn in?
Would love.
In we go to WildHeart.
I'll be able to get back here.
Leap is really scary. Just watch Leap again. It's gonna be up.
Yeah, I'm not showing now. I can meet you guys, man.
They're gonna have a hard camp out here.
They might do boss.
Do we care? No, I don't think they're doing boss. They're really slow. They're doing hearts for sure.
Okay, yeah.
This area is a little
Still
slow.
kind of looking.
They're 30 gems.
They're easy.
Okay.
Yeah, let's put mid first and then we can do so.
Okay, there's two top.
They're missing out of top. We don't see them. They could be on mid top or they could be on boss.
They're gonna be mid.
Okay, just Liam's mid. They could. Oh no, okay, we see.
Yeah, they're mid. I'm rotating. I'm mid. I'm coming mid. Yeah, that's good.
Only
I'm
have
coming. I'm
fighting.
coming.
It's only have
Use
overall.
Odin. Yeah.
I'm just gonna repair. Look very clear.
I'm walking out now. They used Odin.
Yeah.
I don't know if I died.
If you find any hook, we kill.
Yeah.
I'm playing Gorge.
Start stepping up.
Sonya's bottom.
Sonya's bottom, stepping up.
That's true.
I thought there was a Diablo in there.
Yeah. That's good luck.
Can we play bottom?
Okay.
We have traps here.
A nice initial push coming out from 30k into that mid lane, but a great defense from WildHeart. As we heard a little bit of them just discussing positioning, rotation, it was good just communication between all the members there, Grubby, as the map does continue with WildHeart trying to get their first turn in.
And they may be... Oh no, again, Hasselup's stopping the turn in here. He actually jumped in before getting the full 40 armor plate. He just has 30. That's how much he felt pressure to interrupt the Junkrat there. Again, about at 90%. First bullet into Diablo. There's a huge leap into a Stukov combo. Yazoo and Liam getting the kill. Nice massive shove on the mech as well. Finally something going right for 30k at a time where they need it. Yeah, they are the ones that get the kill first, preventing the hook from getting a pick-off target. As Hazu continues to zone, it's the blue web weavers though for WildHeart that end up turning in. Junkrat finally with that heavy purse managed to offload some gems, and here's that combo again. Oh my god, that was so cool! Liam's spear actually turned Diablo around.
Turns Diablo around. We had the bellowing roar from Deathwing as well. Pitkid is stuck in against the wall, and Dino is just shredding that health bar with the minigun. The blue webweavers do descend, but just as Greymane respawns, that will be Pitkid going down. This also is going to be webweaver in bottom lane, fairly far back. Mid lane is the furthest that spawns down the lane. Dino should have clear on this before he even hits the gate. X-Ray into top lane. Liam should be able to make a play into that. Actually, I think there's a little bit of They're looking for a kill here. This is exactly what I saw.
Gems!
That's a lot of gems. The big bank account. Weary Day is going to try and pick up a lot of those gems. Massive shove it into the wall. 30 gems on Weary Day. Will go down. Buds is in this engagement. Zergling has 35 gems as well. Commandeer Odin. Zergling. Mecha Explosion not available. Mecha is going to go down. 55 gems. Zergling gets speared by Liam. Liam making the big plays in this Tomb of the Spider Queen map number 1.
This was enormous for 30k as they got some massive plays there with Liam and with everyone, of course. Just good leaps, some of the best we've seen in CCL this season. Really redeeming himself from having a rougher time with the draft last time. 30k's been having some rough matches. Liam on Kerrigan, bit rougher, but his Sonya just looked spectacular today, hitting every leap and spear that matters at the right time with good coordination. That was a huge gem denial fiesta there that 30k inflicted upon WildHeart. I thought Junkrat paid most of his gems already, but he just had so many, and WildHeart plummets in the stock market to 29 gems. They used to be holding 150.
They could learn a thing or two from Diamond Hands and Heroes of the Storm about holding their gems and investing properly, but that's a conversation for another time. On the note of Junkrat, so there was like 35 gems already turned in, so Junkrat only turned in 15 gems. That's why he still had 70 something gems. It's so ridiculous. But that's a big point to make, Grubby. The economy, the gem economy for WildHeart is in shambles right now. They were sitting on potentially 3 turn-ins almost, and now they got to work back up to be able to get a second turn-in here. As the forts, we see a little bit of structural damage across the map. Map-wise, though, or excuse me, structure-wise, it is going to be 30k with the advantage, with 1 fort still in mid. WildHeart missing all 3 of their forts, top, mid, and bottom. Turn availability here on the side of 30k as they are... Hazov's going to get 11 gems. I like the idea of just the Deathwing tail just kind of floating outside of the bush. Like, I wonder if Deathwing's turning in, because it's just his model's so massive. But anyways, Liam should get this turn in here, and that's gems.
Still can't see him, though, the way the game mechanics work, of course. But let's see. Pitkit wants to get a big hook gorge kill. Hazu very aware of where Pitkit might be. Pitkit really playing with vision here. Never revealing himself yet. I'm looking at purely the vision for 30k right now, and they're pinging that Stitches might be below the bottom wall. They didn't. Now there's a danger ping on top, and he's checking it. I'm looking at everything again. He has still evaded vision. This was... Oh, yeah. Into the wall. That needs more practice.
Little too close to the keep front gate, if anyone's wondering what we're talking about. Basically, the hook did connect, but you can't pull through actual structures, so the person kind of hit the wall. Like a Valkyrie, you know, if you Valkyrie someone, they kind of hit the side of the wall. Massive shove will push away the mech explosion. Big red button from Commandeer Odin with the 20 talent tier advantage to 30k. Pushing into this mid lane keep. One more big red button as the Commandeer Odin does fall. Sonya in bottom lane pushing things up. Hazoabs actually uses the Cataclysm just to increase the distance in this mid lane, so they're not going to be threatened to get blown up. He'll take flight, gain a little bit of health, and bottom lane push is looking good for 30k. We do also have Skyfall from level 7 on the Deathwing to poke at the enemy team.
Dino trying to stay behind the catapult so as to not get hooked, even uses running gun. Minion was always going to be blocking that, and now 30k can step up a bit again. Without the hook range to make the gorge hit from fairly far away, there's this small reprieve of safety. But with that window having passed, 30k assesses their options. They look at the map, they think, okay, Bruiser Camp, not yet available. Siege Camp will soon be. Boss isn't available, and we don't have turn-in. Let's try to hit a pre-20 fight. But this is as good as it is predictable, and therefore WildHeart is not giving them that opportunity. So 30k gets the consolation prize. Siege Camp, and after that, really it's down to WildHeart's effectiveness at positioning and defending. You see the map's objective is very reliant on gems, and your waves can be so pushed into the defender's position that you're not able to necessarily farm enough gems in order to get the turn in. And that's why these maps sometimes go quite far, beyond the 20-minute mark.
You make an excellent point, Grubby. As I'm looking at the minimap right now, I can see top lane is just about to the midpoint, but mid and bottom, they're pushed out. They were pushed out a little bit, and the same is going to be said right here. Also, I think WildHeart's playing in that factor. WildHeart is trying to get 30k to step further down these lanes so that these hook gorge targets are pulled very far towards a keep or just further down the lane so you can find this burst with the Malfurion, the Greymane. But it's 20s up, Master Hook or Stitches. If he lands a hook onto an enemy hero, the hook cooldown is 6 seconds. Keep in mind though, hook cooldown starts the moment you actually release the hook. So you actually have like with travel time and everything, it's like 4.5 seconds. Hook onto X-Ray. This is exactly what they want, but no Gorge will be used. Okay, the Gorge does come out. The root from Malfurion's way too early. Liam leaps in the backline with a leap. We have the Riptire from the Junkrat. Cannonballs from Junkrat as well to poke out at the enemy team. Yasu takes a lot of damage. Reactive Ballista Spores having a lot of value, but the snipe hook, Grubby, was too good.
Yeah, great hook there on an already escaping.
Oh, dirty.
There's the mass hooks there, one after the other. It didn't seem like this was going to be WildHeart's fight, but they managed the KO so well, Bahamut. I mean, this started with a hook onto Diablo and just a bit of hesitation on Pitkit. Shall I Gorge or shall I not? That hesitation nearly cost WildHeart the fight. After the second had passed, where it would be considered good etiquette to eat your fast, Stitches finally did eat Diablo, but not before Weary Day, and Unaverted had been baited into using all their CC pre-Gorge, because they felt maybe Pitkit will not be eating his breakfast right now. And finally he did, so those two CCs missed. You called it late by Mal. It was either late or early, but it's down to Pitkit breaking the perfect synchrony of his hook into Gorge, which he had been doing so far. So that was awkward. The fight broke out, and you would think then it should be over. It was a big counter-engage leap. Several big tools had been used, but somehow WildHeart still managed to survive through it. They turned on their Tranquility, they unleashed holy damage, and they are now in a winning position in a game that 30k has been winning for the most part, maybe not by large margins, but seemingly by a little bit of margins. But that was a great fight for WildHeart.
An insanely good fight, and 30k will bring the fight into the face of WildHeart, and Hazuabs gets chunked down to about a quarter of their health. Boss is going to slam its way onto the core. Big red button common to your Odin is out. Diablo, rooted, taking a nap. Explosion from the Diva at the bottom of our screen. This boss is starting to take down the core HP. The shielding's already fallen. Greymane goes to core. WildHeart, they're looking to take the game number 1 here. Liam leaps in, but I don't think you stop this onslaught. Game number 1 will go over to the side of WildHeart. Very well played here, Grubby. I very much agree. Like, I actually hesitated to write down 30k as the winning team because it's that X factor in the Stitches. I really feel like if that was a different tank, if we're looking at a Garrosh, a Muradin, a Joanna, I feel like that game goes over to 30k. But with the Stitches X factor, with the hooks, the Gorge, the Malfurion play, it was just so on point for WildHeart from basically 10s on.
Really good practice with this combination. That one hook on the wall tells me like you haven't tried that angle before, but imperfection can still be accepted and expected. It was still a hit on the Sonya, and he did evade vision very well. But everything else, besides the engage on Diablo, it can be tough in those moments. Do I Gorge the Diablo, or does that actually bait my team into focusing him when Sonya is still up? But overall, if you look at the combo they practiced, the trap, the mine, the root, and then Cursed Bullet blowing up that target, this was a strong draft. It looked like it was not favored for most of the game, but you just scale to level 20, you get Junkrat's boosted level 4 quest stacks, the cannonball, the mass amount of hooks, and then the accuracy that Pitkit showed. And it's WildHeart's first map in what I may remind you is a very important match in the race for top 3 in the league standings.
As we get McIntyre back into this, I want to get your thoughts on map number 1. Are WildHeart impossible to beat on Tomb, or was this just a misplay from 30k into the Stitches?
It's hard to say. I actually don't think that this was a misplay from anyone. I would just say WildHeart, they got to level 20, right? Like Master Hooker came online, and while you miss hooks, Wayne Gretzky would say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and with Master Hooker you can take a shot every 4 seconds, right? So it doesn't even matter if you miss, because you can just hook again right after very quickly, and able to just cause enough commotion in that very last fight to kind of have the overextension of 30k. They weren't in position. That wasn't really favorable. The Odin wasn't in place, as I kind of had highlighted there. Before the game started, there was a lot of things that 30k needed to set up before they go into a fight. And that last fight was just so rushed that one at a time they fell. So it just, went in WildHeart's favor because they got to a point in the game where they could win, and they were able to capitalize on it. So really, really well played from them. But, 30k did play a really good early game, right? We saw a lot of turnarounds. Liam stepping up on the Sonya, hitting some good leaps. The Stukov roots were really good as well. Following up, we had that cool combo there. All those gems lost middle. I thought that was for sure the end of the game. But the fun part about Spider Queen is that you get to a point where you don't have gems yourself. The other team may not have gems, but they are getting all of them because, again, your waves are pushed to their side of the map. And 30K kind of found themselves in that spot, right? What do? Well, you typically will try to wait for a boss, maybe get a hard camp. And instead, they were forced to fight in the middle of the map over, in my opinion, no objective, possibly trying to keep WildHeart off of the turn-in. But yeah, a full-blown fight breaks out, leads in WildHeart's favor, able to get the boss and capitalize. Really well played for both teams, honestly. I think this series, we'll see if Stitches becomes a priority, right? He is such a wild character, right? So who knows?
It's just the chaos that he can bring to the table, and I know we usually joke about that with Cho'Gall bringing chaos to things, but I really do think that it's just so. It's literally like just like a wrench into a gear when you have a Stitches, because it's like the game's going great for us, and then you get a hook, and it's just like the game's not going good for us anymore. So 30K, we'll see if they're able to bounce back. Let's find out where we're going to go to from map number 2. Grubby, what is this going to be? Where are we going?
Yeah, we're going to be going to Infernal Shrines, where basically a draft like 30K had would still also work quite well. I'm not sure that the Stitches draft is as good here, but then we think of Granite Gaming. I believe they got their first map in Season 2 with a Stitches comp on this map, so it is definitely possible. It was Stitches Malfurion as well, if I'm not mistaken. So it is possible, and I think there's what will be interesting to see is if WildHeart, right, the last 2 playdays or so, they were showing a lot of Zul'jin spam. Zul'jin or Vala with double frontline, double support, that kind of thing. Maybe sometimes Zul. And that was a draft they have been running for more than a month now. It wasn't working as well the last 2 playdays, and they haven't been winning as much as how they started out the season. So now the question is, will they be trying more repeats of Stitches in this best of 5 at all? Question number 1. Question number 2, if not, do they fall back to old plans, or have they produced new extra builds as well, pivoting around other special or not special heroes? And the question for 30K side will be, do they first want to tackle the Stitches in a different manner, now that they know this is a prepped strategy? For example, let's pick a Nubarak instead, and a lot of teleporters, so that we can get out of our own hook abducts, even though roots from mouth may stop that. Or do they say, no more Stitches, and they just ban it? We will see in this draft.
We will see as we're getting into Infernal Shrines. You make a really good point, Grubby, as well. WildHeart did run that Zul'jin composition on Infernal Shrines, as well as running it on Tomb of Spider Queen in the past. I was actually expecting WildHeart Esports to bring that out in the last map, but I like that they're innovating. I like that they're not just running the same composition and being like, oh, we're gonna hold our playbook to our chest, and you'll see some cool stuff in the playoffs if we need it for the playoffs. And Grubby, and you made this point as well, and I want to keep bringing this up as well throughout this matchup. This is it's a split, or not a split matchup, but this matchup will kind of push one team towards third place, one team towards fourth place. We still, as Grubby mentioned earlier today, we have a play day next weekend as well, so there's still a chance for things to change up, but this matchup is literally between third and fourth place, and we could see that spot shift today through this best of 5 series. As we get into Infernal Shrines, Mac, how are you feeling about the drafts, or maybe expectations from these teams in this next map?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this map will be fairly similar, as the draft is essentially the same so far. If we see the Lucio ban, then it will have mimicked the previous game. Infernal's in an interesting map because you do get to fight over the shrine, but you can apply pressure elsewhere on the map if you have someone that can kind of do the shrine by himself, right? Leor comes to mind, Diva comes to mind, characters that are able to sit on the shrine, take skeletons kind of fairly easily, and then escape if they are to get ganked. So the draft has started the same, right? We'll see if we start with the Tychus first pick again. It's very strong on the map, right? Odin being a character that continues to do good, right? And I know, WildHeart, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't just take the Malfurion again. He's also really good on the map, right? The chokes that this map has, the ability to pick the Stitches. Diva also incredible on the map too. So
same draft.
There is no reason for them not to basically draft the exact comp that they just played. for this map, right? We now have the D.Va who can do the shrine by herself. If she's contested, then she just boosts away and WildHeart looks to do something else on the map. Or while the posture around the objective happens, WildHeart can take the stitches, they can take the garage, look for picks while the D.Va is doing the objective very safely. And we see actually, 30K doing exactly what I was just talking about, choosing that Leoric. They want to also have a character that can do the shrine by himself. And Leoric's great at dueling D.Va, right? In that 1v1 for the solo laners, you typically want to be able to push the other off the objective. Both of these are, it's pretty wet noodle, right? The Leoric drains D.Va down to low, she bombs, she shoots Leoric a bunch, jumps back in the mech when she gets low, right? There's no way to cancel that baby, jump back into the mech. And Junkrat going to be the ban from the side of WildHeart. But yeah, it's a very back and forth off lane. They're just going to steal skeletons from each other while fights happen elsewhere on the map. Mathiel, coming out from 30K, that is a very good one because Mathiel can be picked in the 4-man, run around, and then last rights the Diablo, last right the Leoric, right? Both of them have a terrible time against the character, and he's very good on this map. Also, WildHeart, a team that would pick it, right? Could you imagine Pit Kid main tank Mathiel? I could see it.
Oh, I absolutely could. Grubby, I see you deep in thought. What are you thinking about for this draft here?
Yeah, I wonder why they banned Junkrat.
Hazops?
Now we kind of see why. With Malthael and Leoric being denied to WildHeart as well as Tychus, what 30K is doing here actually is fully making a monopoly of percentage damage. That's their attempt. Pick Tychus as a 3rd ban, essentially. And Leoric as a 4th ban. And then you pick Diablo, you protect the Diablo. So WildHeart says, okay, we see the squeeze on percentage damage. Let's get Manticore level 16 Vala and Karazim. And we have the return of Alex Strasser for Yasuo. The second time we see Alex in CCL that I remember, what I'm sure about is the second Alex Strasser for Yasuo. He tried it once in Season 1. It didn't go well. It was also on this map. I believe he showed one Alex and one White main. Just kind of trying to flex his healer muscles after Lucio might not be available. Sick. 2 big tanks with Alex behind it.
Maiev will be the last pick on the opposing side, so main tank Maiev. Also, Grubby, this is the first Alex Strasser for Season 2 of HeroesCCL, and we'll see if Yasuo can to put a W on that one. But McIntyre, as we are going to load into Infernal Shrines, what are your thoughts? What's your breakdown? Who's got the stronger draft?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, the Vala picked up from the side of WildHeart. She's a character that has a really hard time into quick damage, right? And I usually like to suggest that range characters, especially when paired with double support, are kind of the main tank, right? Vala wants to step up, play in their faces, a 30K. In this case, though, if she chooses to do that, Tassadar wall comes down, Diablo charge, and right? SpaghettiOs, we're in a bad spot. So we may not see that as much. Instead, the D.Va playing from the front. Ball's going to play probably safe back, go the multi-shot, try to steal skeletons. And then the Maiev is going to be on the side, looking for side flanks. Going for that Alex Strasser. It's going to be important to pressure Alex Strasser in these team fights. It's going to come down to Yasuo's position completely. If he's able to get into the dragon form, take the flight talent at level 10. So if he does get into trouble, just fly away, keep his team alive. He'll have a really successful game. I think on difficulty, 30K should win this game, but again, WildHeart, they keep coming out with these crazy strategies.
Alrighty, McIntyre, thank you for the breakdown, my friend. We will see you after map number 2, Infernal Shrines, and Grubby and I will go ahead and get on into this as we do have WildHeart in the blue with the advantage in this best of 5 series. We got Zergling on the D.Va, Weary Day on the Malfurion, Buds on the Kerosene, Pit Kid on the Maiev, and Vala played by Unaverted. Over in the red, we got the members of 30K. Hazuab's playing the Tychus, Liam on the Leoric, X-Ray on the Diablo, Yasuo on the Alex Strasser, and Dino on the Tassadar. I'm going to lean into WildHeart on this one. I can go into a little bit more in a little bit here, but I want to get Grubby's thoughts as we have not heard your breakdown or thoughts on these total drafts.
Yeah, I think WildHeart sidestepped Leoric's value very well, with D.Va's mech dying not being a big issue, and everyone else having a fairly small health pool, 2,000 or less. And so Leoric doesn't really get the percentage steal as much as he might against proper main tank. So that's as far as Leoric goes. Then when we look at Diablo, he's kind of going to get controlled by the CC of Malf and Maiev fairly well. Reign of Vengeance if he comes out. and he is going to get 7-sided struck. 7-sided struck. And then when we look at Alexstrasza, she's a powerhouse at level 20 if you go E build, Flame Buffet. But he has gone for the W build, which gives globes. Then I'm thinking, okay, is this like a globe synergy type of build where Stitch just keeps getting hungry for more globe stacks for health? But it isn't. And Diablo X-Ray, even though last game he went for Devil's Due, that gives him bonus regeneration from globes, this time he didn't. So there's no real synergy in that. That means that Yazoo and 30k just value this hero for this map, for the objective focus, and that the regeneration globe and W build is just something he likes. And I haven't seen it be good yet, so it would be a first time. And I love first times in CCL. But I'm not convinced yet. I think WildHeart's draft is a little more powerful going into 30k here. But we'll see. Execution matters a lot. I feel like last game it was the other way around, but WildHeart executed really well in that one level 20 fight. They weren't too far behind. They hadn't lost any keeps. So it's not really a comeback, but WildHeart did look a little bit disadvantaged. Then with the execution at 20 won that fight. So we'll see how this one goes, Bahamut.
I would agree. Really quickly to note, we do have the Arcane Punisher in the top lane. That'll be announced in about 20 seconds, and it'll be up for contest in about 40. And I agree with you a lot on this Alexstrasza in the synergistic value with this level 1, where she's able to get the regeneration globe spawning in the Circle of Life after the Abundance, after gathering 15 regeneration globes. If the Tassadar was more like Mephisto and you went into the trait talent at level 4 and 13, then I'm seeing, yeah, that's some cool synergy because you get cooldown on your basic attacks from the regeneration globes from 4, and then you get cooldown on your heroic from the level 13 as well, so you can just spam Durance of Hate, you can spam the Shade of Mephisto, you have a lot of spam ability with this Mephisto player. I've seen this actually in the past, and I thought it was really, really cool on a map like this. Granted, we're talking Grassroots Esports versus CCL. A little bit of a different stage, but still, a lot of really cool value from the Alexstrasza in that. As we've been discussing this map, we've been discussing the team fight, we haven't really seen much of the team fight. Here we have it though, Grubby. First objective phase up and available on the top. Arcane Punisher ready to go, and 7 talents here looming for both sides. Who will be able to take first objective?
Yeah, we have Pitkit and Hazelwops doing their part to double lane to get level 7, which usually hits about midway someone's race to this shrine. We now actually have a cool move to try and go for Pitkit. He jumps past the force wall, gets shadow charged, and that's a 5-man gank. You don't escape this one, buddy. As 30k willingly gives up the objective. They don't like to fight into the mech explosion. Although there's still 10 skeletons left. They've now created space and level. They're gonna move in here. The Diva mech may actually get... Yeah, it gets another 4. There's 3 left. 30k wanted another kill to disempower this push, but they haven't been able to do so. Good defense, WildHeart.
Another good use of the nuclear option once again from Zergling on the Diva. I really like the way that he's playing this this Diva, because all of 30k kind of telegraphed, hey Diva, you're all by yourself, we're going to be coming in and diving onto you. And she was like, nope, go ahead and deal with this faster explosion from my mech, which is a lot more threatening. As Alexstrasza gets hit with the Umbral Bind, we do have a Force Wall from Tassadar. Does have the Electric Fence for the slow and a little bit of damage as well onto the enemy members who are caught by that. And this is a wonderful defense from 30k, Grubby. Usually in CCL, we're seeing more than the front gate of a fort going down the first objective. But right now, 30k, all that went down, a tower, the vast majority of the gate, and a sidewall. Really good spot for 30k to be in this first Punisher defense.
Yep, definitely good defense. And when we look at the scaling for Vala, it's pretty decent. 20 multi-shot stacks here. Still curious at what level 10s we are going to be seeing, as we see this really aggressive play by WildHeart. They feel like they are well positioned for this. They just saw Tassadar top, and now they're gonna continually use spells to reveal the fountain and have their spells and the Khazra try to take that fountain down. But it's not quite down yet. Oh, the final fan of Nice did it. Nice little fountain cheese there by WildHeart.
I want to update everyone at home as well really quickly. 1 W from Vala deals 306 damage. With the current scaling, if a grenade hits from Arsenal, that is 477 damage from a W from Vala. And this keeps going up and up and up. Like, I've seen some Valas, Grubby, hitting 100 stacks in a game, and they push a W onto something like an Alexstrasza, a Tychus. That health pool is getting shredded.
Yeah, almost Half-Life if the grenades hit as well. Bit of strafe action. But we get to see the level 10s now. Commandeer, Odin, and Tomb. We see Lightning Breath, Cleansing Flame. And Tassadar is still considering. I think it might be a black hole, actually. Really powerful counter engage into Maiev. He hasn't picked yet.
Tassadar, he does go into the toilet bowl. He is going to rip that out into the enemy team, but Dino still goes down. Souls reset on Diablo. A double kill found through the mid lane in favor of WildHeart, unaverted, trying to make it a triple kill with another Hungering Arrow over the wall into Hazuops, but he's able to get the abundance, the healing from Alexstrasza with that circle, and this will be a little bit of pressure through the bottom lane. The reason being, Mortar Punisher should be announced fairly soon through this bottom, so getting some pre-pressure with this massive just advantage that you have with the double kill is huge for WildHeart if they can get the next objective phase. And to quickly note, Circle of Life level 1 Alexstrasza is done. What is her reward? A regeneration globe will spawn when she does use the abundance, her W.
All right, nice extra healing. Percentually, that is still a lot of bonus health for high health allies like Diablo, like Leoric, and even Tychus to a degree is one of the more healthy ranged assassins.
Oh, sorry, really quickly. I forgot one extra thing, because there's two rewards for this. After collecting 10 regeneration globes, abundance heals for an additional 5% of maximum health. So that's also maybe the reason we're seeing the Circle of Life for some burst type healing, but we'll have to see. I'm excited about this. We got a Mortar Punisher, Grubby. Let's see what's going to happen with this second objective.
Yeah, okay. Heroic abilities are back up again. 30k didn't manage to save Diablo and the rest of the team with that black hole during that first engage. Very nice snipe, by the way, by Dino and Hazuops with the grenades in the storm. Let's see if they can do that again. Odin comes here. Let's see if the next black hole is going to be good here to stop things. Liam gets blown up real fast, but he gets a lot of healing from Yasu. Diablo really far ahead. He did a shadow charge. Looks like he will be able to get away, though.
A little mecha explosion coming out. There's a Warden's Cage as well. There was a Cleansing Flame from the Alexstrasza. Some defensive, some aggressive abilities used. And Buds right now is trying to punch his way through Liam's health, but that is not working out. And 30k will find second objective phase, but X-Ray is going to go down on the right side. Leoric is able to Wraith Walk away. He's fine for now. Liam able to back off. Little grenade from Tychus only connecting onto Circling. A spray, a disengage, and WildHeart should be able to defend their fort front gate through bottom lane. Actually, Mortar Punisher AoE siege is pretty good, so this might be... Okay, the gate goes down the two side walls, and the two towers remain. It's like a Lord of the Rings movie, Grubby.
I'd like to point out that no player from WildHeart stood next to towers on purpose, so that the mortar shots that came at them didn't hit the towers. Kind of a cool little thing. If they stood next to the towers, they would have gone down.
And with the kill that was found into X-Ray, WildHeart steps forward, and funny enough, WildHeart lost the objective and found structural value out of this. That's usually not the situation. Usually you lose the objective and lose some structures, but hey, all right, you're the one who comes out on top. WildHeart, good job. 13 apiece. Next objective phase, top lane once again, will be a Frozen Punisher. Not at this time, Grubby, but when we get into that next Punisher phase, do you want to jump into some player comms?
Would love to hear from 30k in this Alexstrasza Season 2 premiere. It's going to be top shrine, and it is still very possible that either team gives up that top shrine. If we look at Yasu's Alexstrasza positioning, he was over that wall, and he was practically untouchable there, healing everyone and shooting from over the wall. He cannot find similar position in top, so it can be scary to move up there for him.
Even more so when WildHeart just barrels their way through the top lane fort front gate. Tassadar Force Wall will be there. Shadow Charge onto Zergling will connect. X-Ray gets rooted. Umbral Bind will pull them in. Seven-sided Strike won't find much value. I believe it was actually just out of range from X-Ray. X-Ray drops to about half HP. Stays alive. Hearths away for just the big burst in healing as, well, the lanes aren't super pushed out, and he can easily get that free healing through the Hall of Storms as Maiev will just poke at this fort front gate through mid lane. Grubby, I'm liking the way that WildHeart's macro is on this map right now. Like, their macro is really good. It's not just D.Va sitting top, double rotation through bottom and mid every single time we're out of an objective. It's it's like freeform jazz, if you will. Like, it's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. Feels like a fish in water, Bahamut. Very, very comfortable with taking walls, towers, forts at any time, while letting D.Va be that big lightning rod and really forming a unit with most of the rest.
And that unit right now is going to dive onto X-Ray, 7-sided strike, Warden's Cage, a Shadow Charge won't be enough, and Diablo goes down. No announcement on the objective, but this advantage will be found through WildHeart in the top lane, grabbing the fort. I'm liking the way that they're executing. WildHeart is not saying, oh, we gotta kill, let's go deep push the Leoric and mid. No, we gotta kill, we're in top lane, let's get the fort, let's continue the siege and the onslaught. This is very, very good, just macro, as I keep bringing up, and this is something that I wish I would see my teammates do in Storm League. Dare I even say Quick Match? No, I want to say Quick Match. I'll say Storm League. Quick Match is for fun.
Yeah, Quick Match is for suffering, I agree.
Hey, now that's where I take my Butchers, I take my Novas, and I, 1v1 the Deathwing, steal the boss from him as he tries to bellowing roar my Nova clones. It's beautiful.
Nice.
That actually did
Wish I could have seen that. It sounds very specific.
I'll give you a clip in one of our breaks and you can take a peek at it. I've also got a nice Butcher one for you as well. But here we are. You want to get into those 30k comms?
Let's go.
Yeah? They are going on me again.
I'm on Monk.
Calling.
On
Vala's
Vala.
getting tanked.
Try. I already.
Yeah,
Vala
good
is low.
Good damage.
Fine.
Have Mike on me here? Yeah, help me.
Hit for him.
Do you have any? Okay.
I can't really.
Dead?
I think we can try to turn with breath.
No, you probably can't.
Nope.
Oh. That was my
I
fault.
mean, we have to give them.
I get bottom.
Get the
Oh, I was
camps.
kind of low, but yeah.
It's definitely we play for 20.
I mean, second.
No, it was my fault. It was bad.
Going.
Unfortunately, 30k will lose out in that team fight, but the calls at the end of that is just immediately spread out across the map. Go grab some camps. Go put some pressure into the other lanes. I do like this lost response from 30k right here.
Yeah, they need to get the consolation prize of having some counter map pressure. It does feel hard for 30k to get their talents in the armor of WildHeart, as they have a bunch of different modes. Leoric Tychus traditionally are tank killers, but there are no tanks. Diablo wants to fight off of the force wall. Tassadar has splash damage. He does get good burst with full Q build, but it's Side Storm build here, so it's very objective focused. And WildHeart isn't letting them near it on this particular point. And now the question is, can 30k survive long enough to be able to earn another objective fight, perhaps on a better position? They do have bottom push. If the next objective is bottom and they survive this, the fort is going to be down. This could be good for 30k.
WildHeart, though, steps forward onto the keep. The Punisher jumps out, dealing 186 damage baseline, 372 into structures. And WildHeart, they're happy with getting the top lane keep. And as you mentioned, Grubby, I think WildHeart just wants to regain that macro, getting the bottom lane cleared up. Bottom lane Impaler Camp should actually find the fort down there. I'm actually going to look really quickly. Is the Impaler Camp in? No, the Impaler Camp's on a wave. So no, the bottom lane's okay for now, but this wave coming right behind should be enough. Mid lane fort goes down, and WildHeart continues to just open up this map. The chase potential, the aggression is all good for WildHeart, and no way does WildHeart. Do they actually save this fort in bottom? They will.
Yeah.
It'll be like 1% HP, but that still is a 1% HP fort, representing no periodic catapult pressure matching into WildHeart's through that bottom lane. Loving, and I keep bringing this up, but it's just the truth. They're macro in this game, Grubby. It's beautiful here. They're as you said, a fish in a water. They're happy. They're swimming around and they're just having a good time. They're playing their Heroes of the Storm map.
Yeah, exactly. For those wondering, it's 299 health on that fort, so very close to one auto attack for almost anyone, one spell. But yeah, no counter catapult pressure. That is tough for 30k, and they're in full turtle mode. That's a sick force wall.
Pit Kid's model didn't know where to be, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna be stuck right here. We'll be able to use the Spirit of Vengeance, but that was a decent amount of burst. X-Ray does have souls, going to use the Lightning Breath to zone back the enemy team. a 90-second cooldown. When it's all, when it actually expires, it's kind of 86 seconds if we're really splitting the hairs on CDRs on things. But since the next Punisher is showing bottom lane on the minimap, Mortar Punisher once again for bottom, this is going to be a pre-siege through the WildHeart. Grubby, have we had a mid lane Punisher? Has it just been top bottom again? I feel like it's just been top bottom the entire game.
I think so. Yes.
I don't know why Heroes of Storm doesn't like mid lane, but whatever. WildHeart does have 20 talent here with the 30-sided strike from the Karazim and a little bit of pressure onto this bottom lane keep. But Zergling wants to save their mech, won't be able to do so.
Took that final shot there. It's gonna just walk back. A little bit risky to play without Zergling's zoning. They're still stepping up. Just one more fan of knives, one more shade. They're really gonna try to take this keep down so that next objective can be a win condition. And to keep 30k passive and pacifist, forced to defend catapults all game long. X-Ray has trouble finding his engage with Diablo here. WildHeart, of course, positions well. Big open spaces is where they choose to fight if they are at all able to do so.
I like that just Unaverted was sitting mounted, maybe waiting for a cooldown to poke at the keep, and Hazuabs with the level 1 quarterback just throws a grenade right at Unaverted. It doesn't, it's not that much damage, but it's comical to me. Just like Hazuabs is like, no, get dismounted. I hate that. The bottom lane keep will be at about 50% HP, and as we mentioned, there's that 200-something HP fort on the left-hand side if 30k can get this objective, but big red button, Commandeer Odin coming in. Here it is, Grubby. What's the fight looking like?
Yeah, they're just turning on both monsters immediately. We're full Pacific Rim here for 30k as they still have Buried Alive. There's the 7-sided. There's the pushback on the mech. Diablo gets CC'd a bit, but he still looks healthy. This might be 30k's fight here. Can WildHeart see the writing on the wall? Or are they actually disrespectful of this combo? Are they saying, no, our double heal will sustain us throughout all this. We are going to keep fighting. We are head in skeletons. We can do this.
Buds in the backline onto Hazuabs. The 1v1's going in favor for Buds, actually, as he dives back in with a few punches into that Tychus. On the left-hand side, we saw the D.Va mech fall. She's auto-attacking into Liam, who does go down. He tries to steal some skeletal defenders. Pit Kid will be falling on this Maya, but the multi-shots are cleaning up this engagement. Unaverted is a monster on this follow-up, but the monster has been taken down by the Tickle Beam of Tassadar. Weary Day coming in with some Moonfire as the blue the blue Punisher will come through. Mortar Punisher in favor for WildHeart, and Dino is taking Weary Day on a bit of an adventure. One more Moonfire solidifies the kill. Diablo, who lost souls, is back in. It's an Alexstrasza Diablo defense against a Malfurion Karazim. And this Karazim, Buds, running through bottom lane, already wants to just start wailing his way through this fort. Keep.
And he will do so very easily indeed, as the Punisher is still healthy, as Leoric returns back to life and will be able to defend this Punisher. You would expect here the Punisher to do no core damage and for the keep to remain healthy. But there are still 2 catapults there. Butts is starting to punch it with extreme impunity and prejudice, as he gets a lot of damage here. The catapults are actually firing directly at the keep. The core drops to 74%. And this was a massively successful campaign for WildHeart, even managing to fight monsters without any monsters of their own. The Leoric, with Buried Alive, the Dragon Queen, and Odin.
Sorry, I'm doing really quick math as well right now. Multi-shot's dealing 595 damage, Grubby. 600 damage into 1 W. That's not even counting the arsenal. It's just the Vala scaling is always something that I like to keep in mind throughout these games, because she is a bit of a monster in this. Unaverted, he's going to be able to really chunk into the enemy side with just a lot of just range W's. I mean, as you like to put it, impunity. It's just Vala able to play so far back with just constant W poke and a hungering arrow here and there. You've also got the damage amplification from that level 7. A 7-sided strike onto X-Ray forces this Hellgate out. We have an Umbral Bind pulling in the Tychus. He's going to get shredded here, Grubby.
Great engage by WildHeart and Pitkid getting the Tychus there. A high priority target. Tassadar and Tychus are the only ones who have been able to deal serious damage.
Good force wall from Tassadar.
Does not survive.
There's a Force Wall that locks Pit Kid in. Here to use the Spirit of Vengeance. Here to use the Vault of the Warden. Diablo goes down. No souls to reset. Diva Mech Explosion will trigger. Zergling on the keep. Alexstrasza Cleansing Flame finds the damage necessary, but the Vala and the Diva come through. The kill will be found into Leoric, unaverted, very low on this. Vala needs to get some healing from Weary Day. The core, its shielding is dropping. There's 2 catapults in the bottom lane, one arriving through mid lane as well. These catapults chunk very hard as Dino steps forward with a little bit of a Force Wall, a little Shock Ray, a little Psionic Storm, but the core is falling here, Grubby, and it's looking like game number 2 is heading over in favor for WildHeart. Can Unaverted clean this up? Can the Tassadar stop things from happening? Vala goes down, but the core is shredded by Weary Day and Zergling. GG, well played, over to WildHeart. Map number 2, Infernal Shrines, goes to their favor. Grubby, surprised, expectations met, or blown away by game number 2?
I think it was very good adaptation by WildHeart in draft, hinging upon picks that they have used before, like MyF main tank, and really seeing through 30k's draft. The Tychus opener says we want to go big with our health bars. And that means things like Diablo or other tanks. And then WildHeart actually stays away from falling into the our tank is getting blown up trap, which Leoric and Tychus basically tipped off from the start. While execution still matters, I would say that WildHeart executed alongside the draft expectations. They played it very well, and 30k was unable to really do what their draft was meant to do. Very stark example of this is Leoric with only 15,000 in hero damage, half of what Alexstrasza brought in. You need more than 2 damage dealers usually, and Tassadar and Tychus delivered some, but against double support, that is not enough, and in this case Leoric was not able to do enough.
Well, let's get McIntyre back into the fold right now. McIntyre, what are your thoughts after that game number 2, Infernal Shrines?
Yeah, I mean, as Grubby said, I think WildHeart just really doing a great job of navigating the game, you know, with the composition that they drafted and just playing it perfectly. There's the word. You know, no main tank. We have the Maev. They've gone double support. And as you said, the way that they move around the map is just so smoothly that it seems like all the lanes are pressured at all times, and that kind of opens up ways for them to find picks. They get priority on the objective when it spawns. Because of that, they're able to, you know, land shrines that put pressure on forts, and those forts allow, you know, that opens up even more. So, right, and we see a lot of the time, again, with double support comps, you're not as threatening because you have the 2 healers here, but, you know, Buds on that Kerazim, so aggressive, actively looking for picks, 7-sided strikes, landing. You know, they're able to get that first shrine, and the pressure continues. They get the bottom fort, and then we saw the top shrine fight happen, right? And we were actually able to jump into 30k's comms for that fight, and you could see just from the beginning, because of the pressure WildHeart had, 30k was concerned just going into the fight. Well, how do we go about it? Who should we target? And Liam just kind of falls to nothing, in my opinion, because he's so pressed up, trying to get space for his team, but taking so much damage in response to it, right? He has a Kerazim punching him. He has a Vala shooting him, and falls, right? So, yeah, it's really hard to say, and we saw it and we heard it, that disconnect in 30k's comms. Do we turn? Do we fight? What do we do? I guess we'll soak until 20, right? I think I heard that we're scaling, or let's go to 20, right? They really just, that's how pressured they felt. That's how well WildHeart was playing that match, and yeah, able to clean up the Infernal Shrines here in game number 2.
Game number 2 was well played by WildHeart, and McIntyre and Grubby, you broke it down so very well. We're going to take a little bit of a break here. We're going to let 30k change into a brand new pair of PSD underwear. Maybe that'll change things around for them, or will WildHeart continue to be the dominant force throughout this first best of 5 series of the day? We'll find out after the break. In that break, I also encourage you to hit ! Prize pool to get yourself over to the custom match arena page if you'd like to check that out, or if you'd even like to support the prize pool. We're at $11,522.33 because of your support. So thank you all at home for supporting HeroesCCL, watching HeroesCCL, and we'll be back with game number 3, WildHeart versus 30k. Will it be a 3-0, or do we continue the series? We'll find out in a little bit. Welcome back to HeroesCCL. We are in the midst of our first best of 5 for the day. We've got WildHeart going up against 30K. And as we were in the break, we were discussing everything and all about Murky builds. And once again, Grubby, I have to ask you, what's your priority Murky build going into what would be this final game? Or what could be this final game. No, we discussed our butcher builds. No, but it was we had a nice little break. We all got to hydrate ourselves, and we are ready to go into this next game. Though I do want to get your thoughts here from both of you. Do you think that WildHeart could shut this down in a 3-0, or do you think that 30K can start building some momentum here, Grubby, and get us going into some more games?
We've seen 30K with 2 losses now. The second one looked particularly tough. Mm-hmm. And while stats are still fairly limited because there haven't been that many games yet, they're hard forcing Diablo right now. Tychus, Diablo, basically the same draft twice. They were kind of close game 1, so you would think that it's okay to repeat it again. And it was very map focused: AoE damage, Leoric, Diablo, Alexstrasza, Tychus. It seems good, but they didn't really have a chance this game. They didn't even get a single fort. We look at the stats that you compiled here, and Anubarak is a really good win rate for them. Maybe they can shift things a bit into a more aggressive playstyle where they feel more comfortable with that. I'm not exactly sure what, but so far WildHeart looks like the better drafter, at least in adapting to different drafts. I think is very key. In StarCraft 2 as well, you want lots of different build orders, and here as well, the moment you fall into the trap of trying to repeat the same thing, it can get countered easier and easier as teams have time to think about it.
Let's actually find out where we're going to head to for map number 3 in McIntyre. I kind of want to get your thoughts on the same thing. Is this a map here, Battlefield of Eternity, chosen by WildHeart as 30K wanted first pick priority as the losing team? Does 30K go into this Anubarak aggressive playstyle, or do they play towards the map? What are your expectations going into game number 3 for this team?
Yeah, it's as if you played a level of a game and you continue to hit reset and run the same path and continue to get taken down by the same monster over and over, right? It looks like, again, they've chosen first pick. WildHeart is taking them to a map, and we'll see, do they continue to go that Tychus Diablo route, or do they change it up, right? Do they try to jump a little sooner? Do they lock a character in like a noob, right? I would say X-Ray, he wants to play the Diablo for sure. He can be loud, he can be decisive about it. But even then, we heard in 30K's comms when he was calling, there was actually a counter call to not, right? And a lot of the times, I think when teams do things like that, they tend to just not make a mistake. It's not even a mistake, right? If you're going to make a call and you do the call and it's a bad call, then you can at least learn from it, right? But if you make a call, you hesitate on the call and no action happens, there's never really a true learning experience, right? But we did hear in that moment that, X-Ray does want to be calling. He wants to be on a character where he can call for a counter engage. He wants to be on a character where he can call that he's hooking, right? He's got his stun up, things like that. These are things that time and time again, when we've heard their team's comms, have really found success for them, right? And I think WildHeart is just taking that away by playing the map so dang well, right? Just moving them around the map, not giving them really the decisive fight that they want, and instead just causing chaos, right? Causing chaos in their comms, causing chaos on the map, and causing chaos in the draft. As Grubby said, they have multiple strategies that they're activating on. And so how do you prepare? How do you plan ahead, right? And again, we're seeing possibly them making the same route that they've chosen game 1, 2, and now 3. BOE is a different map. So I like the Chromie. This is a great change. It changes the whole pace of their comp, hopefully. And now they can kind of play around the Chromie, play around the poke that she has, and maybe, some lead CC in front of it, finding picks. It's, again, moving right into what X-Ray wants to be doing in this side of 30K.
Is there a world we live in where we could see a Medivh? Or I know it's Battlefield, we have this discussion a lot, but I like the idea of the portal into the backline to dive onto the Chromie and shut her down. Or do you think that's not a necessary thing that has to happen here, Grubby?
It's not super easy. Like Chromie, just like Hammer, she is artillery, but she's not super diveable, actually. With Time Trap and Slowing Sands and the vision that some of these things provide, she can actually be fairly well positioned against these things. Even when there is a Medivh, you can put a Slowing Sands, a Time Trap. It doesn't feel as bad. So I'm not sure that they need to go that direction. Do love the 30Ks coming out with those Chromie. I think Tassadar was well played, but it's not as reliable, like boom, single target burst damage. And Nubarak, they're 4-1 with it this season. Stukov really shuts down bursts from physical damage sources. But let's think about WildHeart. They've opened the same way in the start, but it's led to wildly different drafts in the second half. You now have Malf, who cannot cleanse Temporal Loop if that comes out, though I doubt that it's going to be a Temporal game. But still, no cleanse from Malf against Temporal Loop if that's what happens. And you cannot even remove slow for a second. It's just a snapshot, his cleanse. So how do they protect against Chromie? Either WildHeart can go full aggression, or they can pick up a second support again.
That is the WildHeart playstyle, I feel. Like I feel like it is very much into that double support range. Uther was banned out. We did see Avala as well, so we don't see anything in that realm. But I actually, for Battlefield, I love the idea of another Kharazim here. I think you go Kharazim, you go into the Iron Fist, you have the block talent. It is a block talent for auto attack damage, but you maybe block one of those autos from Chromie where it's empowered. Ooh, a Li Ming and a Hanzo, though. I like that. A lot of poke burst and into the Chromie that gives you kind of poke into poke from the Hanzo Li Ming. Diva's able to anchor, but oh god, Mac, I gotta get your thoughts on this draft right now.
I mean, the Tracer definitely makes things spicy, and I think this just kind of forces double support. You really have to protect these two, weaker, helpful characters, the Hanzo and the Li Ming. Tracer's going to put a lot of pressure on them, Chromie as well with the poke, and just being able to sustain that, having the Diva out front to protect while they poke at the Immortal is probably what WildHeart will choose to do. They could take a tank instead, and Diablo's a great one, right? Trying to deal with that Tracer. Trying to get the wall bangs when she goes in, protect the backline again. Diva and Diablo are going to do a great job of that with the Malfurion as well, just posturing over the objective. And Tracer's going to have a harder time to get in on that. It's not going to be easy. 30Ks are going to have to be incredibly decisive on their engages, right? But they have the Anubarak to do that. It's going to really come down to, in my opinion, if they're able to get into a position that is advantaged for them, right? WildHeart continues, and we continue to say they play the map really well, and they put 30K into bad positions for themselves. It forces bad engages, it forces bad poke, it forces hitting CDs at bad times, right? So if 30K can get into a position where the leap comes out on time from Fog, Chromie follow-up lands, the Tracer gets the bomb onto Hanzo, then they can definitely win this. But I think the momentum is in WildHeart's favor. I'm going to give it to WildHeart here, see if they can wrap up this 3-0 or if 30K will fight back.
Perfectly put, McIntyre. Thank you for your breakdown and analysis as we are here into map number 3. And as Mac was just saying, will this be a 3-0? Well, let's find out. On the left-hand side, our potential 3-0ers. We have Circling on the Diva, Weirdy on the Malfurion, Buds on the Li Ming, Unaverted playing the Hanzo, and Pit Kid on the Diablo. That is going to be the WildHeart Spaghetti and Meatballs draft. On the right-hand side, we've got 30K. We've got Liam on the Sonya, Hazuobs on the Chromie, Yasu on the Stukov, X-Ray on the Anubarak, and Dino on the Tracer. The aggression from 30K is big, but I agree with McIntyre, Grubby. There's a lot of momentum for WildHeart, and I'm going to lean into a WildHeart win here as well, as much as I would love this series to continue.
Yep, I think that's the most likely outcome, but let's see. This is the first time Anubarak for 30K this series. 4 wins, 1 loss so far in CCL with that. They start with a bit of a push against the tower, but are hesitant to commit with a full-on balls to the wall aggression against that tower. That's a bit of a funky burrow charge. I get it though. He was thinking Pitkit can shadow charge Tracer, and if he does, this is a preventative shadow charge, burrow charge that prevents the overpower. So it was a defensive ability. Diablo didn't step up though.
In bottom, we see Chromie and Li Ming battling it out. I was watching the minimap, and I'm like, okay, not usually what we see, but moderate wave clear between both. I would actually probably lean into the Chromie wave clear overall. I mean, Buds can angle those arcane orbs really well to get kind of splashed onto the most of the minion wave, but Chromie probably has an easier time. We also saw that there was the time trap being cleared out, but as we are in this top lane, we do see the Impaler camp for top lane over the side of 30K. On the right-hand side, or excuse me, on the bottom, we will be seeing WildHeart grabbing the Impaler camp for bottom, and Pulse Bomb onto Zergling, he does boost away, that way that the splash damage of the Pulse Bomb doesn't, well, get free siege for the Tracer onto that front gate. Little thing, it's like when you get hit with a Living Bomb from Kael'Thas. You back away from structures or your minion waves so you don't get free clear for the Kael'Thas.
Yeah, exactly. And overall, good defense by Zergling. He was healing up through some of that with his level 1 talent, over the wall. He was staying alive, clearing as best he could. Still lost the wall, but come on, it was 1v4. He didn't die, didn't even give the mech health, the mech XP away. 30k is grabbing the Bruiser camp fairly early.
Yeah.
You typically cap this at 2 minutes and 48 seconds for optimum advantage, which means Yasuo would have to stand next to this for about 30 seconds or so for optimum cap time. And he does step off, and he's going to wait here, or maybe they will abandon it thinking, you're not going to walk up and invade this anyway.
BitKid is being scouted by Dino on that Tracer, so there is at least that information. There's probably the assumption, and you can actually see Chromie using her Time Walker's Pursuit from level 1 to be able to scout out the camp, and I do believe they did see the feat of Malfurion working on that Hound. First objective phase will spawn in the north-south position. This is always standard. The axes represent the race potential for the side of WildHeart, the shield representing the immortal for WildHeart. So that shield will be the target for 30k as a nice sonic arrow from Unaverted scouts out X-Ray sitting in the bush, and Unaverted, I wouldn't say struggling, but still working his way through those level 1 pressing talent, 1 stack so far. But keep in mind though, the rotations are on the map. We had that the top 4 push, and it was just defended by the D.Va. So getting these stacks for Unaverted, it's a little hard in the early game as there's really no one to kind of poke at.
Yeah, exactly. No meaningless brawls here for either team for that matter. Therefore, a lot of tension into that first engagement when it does finally happen. For now, Unaverted and Buds, the 2 picks that gives WildHeart the superior poke. Even against the poke queen Chromie, are working away at that Immortal. And damage keeps coming in. Burrow Charge on Diablo, the counter attack. Shadow Charge into the stun. He angles and overpowers to make sure that either of the boss stuns are going to connect. And that is a Pit Kid 1, X-Ray 0 in terms of effective stun usage and helping the team. Not a good start for 30k into this third map. They're already down 0-2.
That looked way too aggressive, honestly, Grubby. That seemed like X-Ray saw something lined up, ready to go, and was thirsty for the kill. But Liam, Dino, Yasu, Hazu, all of them, they were way too far away. Hazu does have range on Chromie, which that's why we saw a couple Dragon's Breaths come through, but there was no spear from Sonya, no sustained damage from her. There was nothing from Yasu to come through either, so it's just awkward engagement, a little too excited, I think, from X-Ray to dive in and try and set something up, shut down hard by Pit Kid on this Diablo, as Alarian comes through the top lane, 50% on the shield, and it will deal 1,092 damage into structures. That is the doubled calculation on top of that.
Big range there, so long as the shield is still up. Now it moves into melee, as it has finally been worked away. As Tracer walks into a root. Wow. Nice root there on the recall location. Oh wow, nice shot, 30k. It's good job, Fort.
Yeah.
As Diablo goes down.
Pit Kid realizing the Nexus forces are a little OP. Dear Lord, Unaverted getting the agility. That had to have been max range agility right there, because that he jumped from like halfway in the lane over that small little wall in the I guess you could say the corridor below the siege camp here. Sonic Arrow will scout this out. A little scatter arrow to try and get a stack or two. 7 out of the 20 stacks in the level 1 questing talent. Diablo Souls at 50 out of 100. And I believe, that's all of the questing talents we have right now. But Grubby, I have to give credit where credit's due. Weary Day reading the recall location. It does have a little bit of a visual, visual indicator. Yeah, it has an indicator where Tracer will land, but there was so much happening in that engagement to read that location, to put down the root in the right spot and timing. Super well played. They don't find the kill on the side of WildHeart, but it's still just mechanical skill that you have to point out. It's really cool here in HeroesCCL.
And Chromie is still delaying her heroic choice, perhaps in solidarity of her teammates. I'll pick at level 10 as well, Keck wait. Maybe it is that temporal, and he wants it to be as a surprise.
It could be. Sorry, I was taking a sip of water. You caught me off guard there. I do like the idea of just, solidarity. You don't get yours yet, I'll hold mine as well. I like the loop. Ooh, loop. Yeah, I was about to say I like the idea of zoning from slowing sands, but temporal loop, X-ray and crew, they want to make a play off of this.
It's so funny that Hasu picked it right before level 10, just so that he still has that Chromie advantage of getting your abilities 2 levels earlier. Even though he ends up showing what he has. And there it is, the loop on PitKid.
Moves about 6 pixels back to his original location. Dino tries to chase in. The sustained damage isn't there. But here's the thing, Cocoon onto this Li Ming. Is she going to be able to live through this? Weary Day coming around the corner.
Wow.
Nope, no way is there.
Nope.
Great leap, great leap. Good follow-up snipe and Hazuabs. And Crew set up a double kill. Well played from the side of 30k. This should be 30k's immortal. Or at least halfway
and they
point,
need
sorry.
it. Halfway point for sure, and 30k still scrambling to collect some experience in the bottom fort as they round back in with Tracer. Anubarak taking a defensive position. X-Ray getting some of those mini globes up top, 3 to be exact, so that's less than 1 minion worth of XP. Starts to work away on that as they see, okay, what's the orientation of the next immortal? And very courageously, Zergling starts to step up. He knows how this game is played. He knows members of 30k are going to be taking consolation prizes here and there, finding hobbies in the mid-season break. As the Bruiser gets capped, the top and the bottom waves get soaked, which, by the way, should be noted, are pushing out for 30k against WildHeart. But still, a nice bit of poke damage that was dealt there by WildHeart into that Immortal.
Hanzo rips a massive arrow. The Apocalypse sets up the kill into the Sonya. Anubrak in the backline slows down Buds and unaverted. A Cocoon goes out onto Zergling. Temporal Loop will be onto PitKid. We currently just have 1 kill. Mech Explosion from Zergling zones back the enemy team with the nuclear options speed up as well. Hazuabs is trying to dump out damage onto PitKid. Dino sneaks to the left-hand side. Gonna try and get that Overwatch 1v1, but Malfurion, Tranquility comes out unaverted. Gonna be targeted by Dino. Dino gets the recall right next to Unaverted's location. The Li Ming Disintegrate will be able to snipe down the Tracer. Diablo goes down, trying to zone back the enemy team. A huge setup onto this Stukov, and Yasu is gonna give another reset over to Li Ming. It's Reset City for Buds right now, and the Immortal phase is gonna go over to the side of WildHeart as Zergling does go down on the Diva. This is still a WildHeart win on the map as Buds picks up 2 regeneration globes and is able to back off. Hanzo has to clear things out in top lane as I believe the Shaman camp did find the fort during that engagement phase.
Yeah, a major Shrekkening was unleashed upon that top fort, courtesy of 2 minion waves and Bruiser camp. So 30k doesn't go home empty-handed, but they would have loved to have things turn out better. As Dino did do that rounding out all the way, the deep flank, the 180 degrees attack on Hanzo, but was 1v3. And Disintegrate, not a usual choice, here present because of Cocoon. The quickest clearing of a Cocoon, less than half a second. As it has so many damage ticks. There's another engage on Hanzo, but it's not a lot of damage. That's Sticky Bomb. It's mostly for CC here. Not picking the Quantum Spike with, what is it, 6 to 8% bonus max health damage. Instead, it is more so a setup. Making Chromie, Hazuops, more likely to hit. 30k is rounding out on level 13. They're ahead in structures. They did just lose the objective, but overall, they are in the lead.
WildHeart does have the Diablo Full Souls. PitKid able to, find the insta revive if he does go down. I was looking to see, I was like maybe Unaverted tapped well before the Pulse Bomb, or they engaged in that bottom lane and the Pulse Bomb hit, but no. They actually just tap well now to get a full bar of mana. That's actually a little interesting right there to tap well for just mana. But in top lane, Dino and Crew are going to leap onto a Diva. No Mecha Explosion available. It actually just triggered, and Zergling gets the... Oh my god, Zergling, you insane monster! Gets the mech back once again. Ain't going to get back into it this time. But dear Lord, Grubby, that moment was well played, and in that moment, bottom lane fort did go down to the side of WildHeart.
That Apocalypse was a little unhinged. I wonder, Baha, tell me what you think are the odds that 30k was min-maxing. Let him get back in the mech so he can kill it again. 1.5 kills instead of 1.
That's actually massive. That's a little 200 IQ that you actually get a little burst in experience from that. And in that experience department, we are going to see a solid level lead for 30k. Is this the turnaround?
mech energy is gone too, and you get 1.5 kills instead of 1.
Yeah.
You pretend to want to blow up the Diva pilot.
Big brain.
I mean, he should have just let himself die, maybe, circling. I wonder if they're playing at this level. Shadow Charge, Overpower, Timeout with the dodge. XP lead, like you said, map fairly even here. The 30k with the XP lead. The pokes are starting though. There's a time trap. Hazu ups with the Cyber Agility. Can they blow up Tracer?
She recalls into just about the same place. There's going to be a temporal loop onto this massively left group on the Diablo. Sonya spinning her way through this, but Liam is very split from the friendly side. Nobody falls outside of a Diva mech, so that still will be experienced over to 30k as they're encroaching 16 talent here. The camp will be grabbed by the side of 30k. So I was looking at camp timer, 3 minutes still on the Bruiser camp on this left-hand side, and we sit in defensive positioning. 30k, 16 talent here coming through for them, still that level lead. And WildHeart, they got to make a play here, and they're looking to do so around Belith, the enemy side Immortal.
The missiles are coming in, the arrows soon to be coming in. Actually, there's a bit of a skerfuffle there. Hanzo versus Tracer, as Hanzo, unaverted, completes his scatter arrow quest against Dino. Positive map pressure by 30k in every lane. So WildHeart really wants to squeeze out the damage here on this very tough attackable position. I wonder if 30k gave it too easily, this position,
so.
because
I agree.
It's so defendable. They do have the split map pressure, but that was like the toughest to attack into, and that bridge has now been crossed for WildHeart, as they now have the option defend, trade. It's still pre-16, so they choose to defend.
Alarian on the right-hand side. Immortals in what we would call racing positions as Bud dumps in some damage onto Belith on the left-hand side. Our red Immortal or orange, however you want to look at it. Fire stomps out from the Diablo. We have a couple Arcane Orbs here and there. It's poke, as you described earlier. Li Ming, probably one of the best to poke at Immortals. Hanzo, very far up there as well. But now Chromie and Tracer on the right-hand side. Once that is showing, I believe WildHeart would step into this, but the mech explosion will come in. There's a massive shove to dissuade that big arrow from the Hanzo as the Apocalypse is going to go right underneath that time trap. Buy some time. Big shots out from this Diva as Zergling will live. We also have Bud's very low. Temporal Loop, boost away, and Alarian in favor for the side of WildHeart will spawn in the top lane. I didn't look at it, but let me quickly check for you all. Currently 774 damage standard, 1,548 damage into structures. This is probably top lane fort going down, and not much more since there's no push with the Immortal from the side of WildHeart, as WildHeart's trying to grab 16 talent here through the bottom lane. Fort saved?
Yeah, fort save. Very reminiscent of WildHeart's fort save on the bottom lane on Infernal Shrines, the second map.
Nubrak?
Nubrak.
He's really split. Double Shadow Charge. Pit Kid. Oh my god, the enemy team is just shredding into this Nubrak. Buds gets chunked as well by the Tracer. Bud's just trying to back off right now as Chromie can't find the last little bit of damage. Temporal Loop onto this Diablo as the leap comes in on the Buds, who has to blink away. That's Diablo's Souls reset. He's back alive already. And this fight, which looked awkward for 30k Grubby, went completely in their favor. Finding that kill, resetting the Souls. 4 to 8 in kills, 16 to 17 in our levels. And the map still kind of equal here. Technically in favor for the side of WildHeart.
Yeah, pretty good fight there by 30k. Like, I really like how Liam is playing on Sonya today. It was tough for both frontliners, X-Ray and Liam, against the previous composition with Maiev and stuff. But on Sonya, there's been really good leaps and spears. It's a great win condition for them to do fights in this way. You can see that there's a lot of tenuousness in the setup, in the positioning for both teams. Definitely that Sonya Nubarak leap engage is at the back of WildHeart's minds as they decide just how to position. Next objective spawning.
You know what?
Equal and catapult. Yeah.
It's really, really tense right now. Which comms you want to get into? Because I think now is a really good time.
I'd love to hear how 30k are calling now that they have X-Ray on Nubarak.
Let's do it.
Just be ready on the leap, engage on the back with Tracer, and then if we get a kill, we are fine.
We're doing Knights first, I think.
Maiev should be the #1 target.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for him more.
I will not use the trap until we are there, and then we can kill him.
Our wave is massive.
I'm walking up.
They found it.
Can you quickly
Diablo
death
My Oracle.
I stun Diva.
Yes.
Big damage, big damage. Bot wave is massive. Can I clear it? I'm clearing it.
Oh, they are pre-racing currently.
Diablo here.
I'm clearing bot
We
wave
get type
first.
that. Look. Big. I stun.
Double loop.
I'm
Go.
coming.
Yeah. I cocoon. We go.
I'm looking at mouth maybe instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
looking at
Hansel.
mouth still.
I'm getting
Hansel.
Hansel.
Yes.
Kill. Look at lead
Nice.
next. Massive, here.
We are
I'm
far.
running. Just race.
We
Yeah,
guys-
we just race.
Should be free. They're down to.
Look D.Va.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the one shot by
maybe.
Liming.
Oh, okay. No, she can't.
I'm just saying.
Hey, maybe we kill them. They're only 3 heroes here.
Yes,
Yeah,
if we see an opportunity.
Top is big too.
I'm on Ming.
Careful, I can't get there. There's roots zoning us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just want to race. We get a big shield immortal.
I think a Nubrak defends. Just eat the main
Yeah,
spells.
I
maybe?
can.
The constant and consistent dive from 30k was so well played in that engagement, finding a double kill into Diablo and the Hanzo Grubby, and now we see the communication coming through, clearing waves, what's pushing in, what's the race priority. I'm liking how 30k is just picking apart WildHeart in map number 3 on Battlefield.
I also love the fact that there's different voices on the team with different desires, even though everyone is working together. The entrenchment of the roles in Sonya, in Liam's desire to clear side lanes, and whether that is or is not permitted with an eye on the grander strategy in the game is really interesting to me. May I clear bot lane? Something the whole team benefits from.
Yeah.
But they were also getting pre-poked on the Immortal, and they were loath to give up free HP. And then there was the big engage on Diablo with the double temporal loop and Dino finishing it. Now 30k is looking at perhaps their first map victory in this best of 5. As Dino gets a lot of damage in on Averted. The first leap miss.
I was watching the flank from Liam being set up right there, and I was watching Unaverted. I was like, ooh, Unaverted, you're looking like a tasty target for this leap, but no, won't be connecting, and we are going to have that down for a little bit here as the Belith moves in through bottom lane, getting the bottom lane fort front gate, and the fort getting keep front gate through this bottom lane as well. Chromie checking the bush just above to make sure there's no flank from the enemy side. Belith getting 1 or 2 hits. Diablo, double temporal loop. He's going to get the shadow charge onto Tracer, trying to put some pressure onto her. There's going to be the tranquility from the Malfurion to buy some time. Zergling with the pilot form and tries to get away, but is just going to get shredded. This is looking awful for the side of WildHeart in this bottom lane push. Can 30k, as you were saying, take game number 3 here and continue the best of 5? It's looking like X-Ray and crew want to go for it, but they're going for a well as the wave will slowly come in here. Will this be the ultimate defense of WildHeart, or will 30k close out this map? What do you think, Grubby?
30k is going to try and do it. They've got Ignore Pain on Sonya, dodging the roots. There's the leap, there's the combo. Yasuo ups with the perfect follow-up once again, just like just now on Diablo, with the virulent reaction on the temporal loop. Perfect timing. Yasuo has actually quietly been owning from the backline on support. There's another one. 30k temporal loop on Bud, farming 1 more kill before destroying the core. 2-1 for WildHeart, but this map goes to 30k.
Well played by 30k, and I gotta get McIntyre back into this one because I believe 30k kind of blew everyone's expectations out of the water on this map 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different composition, right? They've reset their Sega Genesis and they're running it back. A different strategy this time around, and it's working out. The aggressiveness of that Anubarak pick and the Chromie pick even, right? The not opening with the Tychus, kind of allowing 30k different opportunities to engage, able to get picks off of Temporal Loop, but also that Anubarak being able to engage, look for CC. With the Stukov, Yasuo definitely stepping up this game on that Stukov, making it, reminding us that Stukov wins, right? That is definitely something that I continue to push for, and players like Yasuo kind of show it, right? I think for me, that game was definitely a showcase of, what it means to be in control of the game, right? 30k able to get ahead early, maintain that level lead even when they were losing objectives, to eventually get to a point where they get the fights where they have the talent lead, right? They get the fights where it really matters, and they're able to capitalize on closing the game out even. It's not always about winning the objective, and I think that's something that in Heroes of the Storm people tend to forget about. At what do you get the objective for, right? If multiple people fall, that objective tends to not get much value. And we saw even that fight somewhere in the middle, I think it was a 15-16, something like that. WildHeart able to get the objective, but a leap follow-up from Liam in the silence from Stukov. Even when it was a Hanzo arrow into an APOC, it looked disastrous for 30k, but the hold happened. WildHeart able to get nothing off of that objective. And yeah, it continued 30k to control the map, control the game, and control where WildHeart could be on the map. So I really like this change of pace for their draft. Again, giving X-Ray something to be more proactive on. Even Hasu getting kind of the chromie, right? He can step up, he can make those decisions. I think really good change of pace for this team. We'll see if they continue it here into game number 4.
Hazo Abzo, I feel, was very critical for that game win with the 67,000. Basically just 68,000 roughly if we're just rounding up on that chromie, about 10,000 more than the opposing side, Li Ming. I also want to give credit though to Dino. Dino was able to get those deep flanks, as Grubby was mentioning throughout that game, and got just putting pressure onto Hanzo, Li Ming, even Malfurion consistently. That was a really big win factor for 30k, and I wonder, Grubby, is this the kind of road that 30k needs to go down to continue in this best of 5, or was this just kind of a glimpse into a possibility from 30k and WildHeart shuts it down in map 4?
I think this is the road, Bahamut. Dino feels like a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to Heroes of the Storm. He has high standards on himself and high standards on his allies, and on a hero like Tassadar that at the end of the day has some initiation but not a lot and is not a finisher. I think he feels sometimes, I don't know if this is true, hopefully we can ask him, but I think he feels a bit passive sometimes. Same with Diablo on X-Ray. Now, Hazuops can make his own plays. This is a very balanced team when it comes to the level of thinking. Hazuops can open the fight with Temporal, Dino can open with a distracting flank, and X-Ray can open and disengage if he doesn't like it with 3 of his CC abilities. With Diablo, it's very binary. You're either going to engage and kill someone, or you're going to get CC'd the heck out of town and fall. Both games, the last 2 games, Diablo has been bullied on either side by the CC that the other team was bringing. He does not have an easy time engaging, and that's why we saw Diablo so often either with a diving body, like a Sonya Leap, or with a Medivh. It's been tough so far being Diablo in this series.
So essentially what I'm gathering right now from both of you, and I'm just going to speak for McIntyre, is Diablo is absolute trash. He is dumpster tier meta, and no one should ever play him ever again in quick match, unranked, AI, or even Storm League. I think I've got that. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate the information from my own games. But
should be all Artanis from here on out.
Only Artanis. Artanis main tank.
He's better. He swaps people. Yeah, it makes sense.
He's just better at escaping and engaging, basically. And he's got a better heroic as well. The lasers just Griegasm.
It's wonderful. And then you can get more lasers at level 20 that just, constantly chase the enemy team.
They're so fast, too.
They reset. Oh my, every time I use it, I get 5 resets. It's the most impactful heroic 20. It's so good. You're right.
I will say this, there was actually one series I did cast in the past where there was the actual target purified actually getting the all 5 of the cast. It went out onto one, they got the kill, it jumped to another. That, the good old days of the Tespa Collegiate series. But we are here into our HeroesCCL, and we are waiting to find out what map we are going to for map number 4 in our first best of 5 of the day. WildHeart's looking kind of good here. Like, all 3 of us kind of agreed as we were loading into Battlefield of Eternity that WildHeart had the momentum, albeit 30k with a more terrifying draft that I think we all kind of were like, yeah, but WildHeart had that momentum, and they were playing from a place of comfort as well. And well, that's kind of shaken up, I wouldn't say in shambles, but it's looking good for 30k for a potential reverse sweep, or just to continue this series and take another win. I'm liking what we have from 30k. Do they have to go, McIntyre, into the same style of play into the next map? We'll figure that out in a minute here, but the play style, like this layer, just, like Hazu with a Chromie and then a leap from Sonya, do you think that's going to be possible in our next map?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the map, right? If it's a map where they can continue to posture and look for fights, they can go that. But here we see 30k is actually going to have map choice, and they're going to go to Sky Temple. So their strategy of looking for picks and being mobile is definitely something that can be activated here, but they can't just posture around the objective like the other 3 maps that they've played so far, right? The objective on this map, while it is very strong and getting it does get you ahead, the other team can do so many different things on the map while you're standing on that shrine, have someone idle away from the rest of your team. So it'll be interesting to see here. I think that this is also a map that probably plays more into WildHeart's strategy, that flexibility in draft, being able to take things like Maiev, main tank, the Zul composition. These are comps that I think do well on the map, and being just flexible, like having players that are able to play certain strategies. We see things like Falstad, Globals, right, are very strong on this map. So it's going to be an interesting one for sure. I think that there were some missteps from WildHeart last game. I think taking that double range in the 3-4 was probably really bad. So we'll see if they kind of tighten up on their draft here, right? It allowed the Tracer pick to happen, and it felt super punishing because what do you do now, right? Oh, we'll take Diablo, I guess. We'll see if they tighten up on the draft here on Sky Temple. Or if 30K continues to keep that momentum, that aggression, multiple layers of engage, allowing Dino on a character like Tracer to just do what he wants and be so effective at it.
I'm looking at some stats here, and I'm reminiscing from previous Sky Temple maps. I'm just looking around here. Like, funny enough, 30K actually has played Zul on this map beforehand with a victory. But I look back over at the WildHeart Esports stats, and I'm like, oh right, yeah, this was the time when WildHeart did bring out like the Tyrande composition with like a Zul Jhin and just shredded through the enemy team. We were all looking at, we're like, I don't know about this Tyrande crazy composition with like a Hogger Sonya and everything, but like it absolutely dominated. So we'll see. Can the members of WildHeart innovate and catch 30K off guard, or will it be 30K continuing to dominate over WildHeart? Or I guess reverse the momentum of WildHeart. It's probably a better way to put that right there as we get into this map here, Grubby. And I want to get your thoughts, just expectations, map play priority, or just your thoughts on either of these teams getting into game number 4.
Yeah, I think there's 3 possibilities for WildHeart. They can try to go like triple global, the Hakafastat, Brightwing, and then Stitches, which is a great draft on this map for anyone. Triple global, Gorge Gust. Or they can run their Zulu build of having map control and brawliness. In this case, they would grab a powerful double laner and just really push down bottom fort a lot, get the siege camp and defend it as 4. And then there may be something that we just kind of have seen, which is just kind of middle of the road meta. Maiev main tank is perfectly fine as well. She can solo lane pretty safely. For 30K, I'd like to see if it's not the Tychus first pick. And get X-Ray on a hero that he can be comfortable on.
Do either of you remember what the first pick on the last map is? Because I'm just drawing a blank. It was
Chromie.
Oh, you're right. It was the Chromie. Okay, I for some reason thought she came later. But all right. So we're through our bans: Hogger, Lucio, Yrel, Uther, and it's gonna be first pick over to the side of the WildHeart for the first time.
Yep.
Mac, what are you thinking here? What are you thinking for either side to kick things off?
Well, I was going to say, and you kind of just said it, what do you take as first pick as WildHeart? We haven't seen it, and it's going to be the Anubarak kind of agreeing with us that it felt really powerful last game, X-Ray being able to play it. Possibly now, does this force him back onto the Diablo? Where does that go? I will also say, I'd say this is one of Anoob's best maps, being able to push those side lanes with the Beetles, being able to get out of really hairy situations with his burrow. It's super good, but these are 2 characters that stop a lot of that, right? Brightwing being able to poly, isolation from Dahaka can really shut and move down. He wants to step, far enough ahead that like he looks like he's scary, but when things feel grim, he digs away, and hitting that isolation on him from like a bush or fog is backbreaking for the character. So I really like these 2 picks a lot, and it's into that global composition that you were talking about, Grubby, where you just kind of play the map, put a lot of pressure on it. But as we continue through these weeks, we always talk about how do we deal with the globals, and it's always going to be putting pressure on the map and forcing those globals to respond to it. And Sylvanas and Stukov are great picks to do that for WildHeart.
Yeah, both Anoob, Sylvanas filling that gap of just heavy structural damage in a side lane with any small advantage granted.
As we get into our second ban phase of the map, I'm considering totally a Cho'Gault opportunity. No, it's going to be a more realistic ban here at the Lost Vikings. I was going to say with the Dahaka at Brightwing, I doubt we see any sort of priority from Abathur. I don't actually think either team really would want to prioritize an Abathur. I think there's just a lot better. Like a Falstad, I think, is actually a great ban. Zeratul is actually a wonderful ban on this map as well. His roaming is really difficult to, I wouldn't say deal with, but it's just a nuisance. And then you have Phase Shift from Brightwing, Burrow Charge from Dahaka, but that's a ban onto Stitches, as I think WildHeart might have the same playbook as you two, saying that this double global might lean into that Stitches, but Hazoobs could go into the Falstad, Deathwing's up and available. We'll have to see what 30k is going to go for here, Grubby.
If they didn't ban Stitches, next picks could be Stitches Falstad, and it would just be like a very complete draft with one flex still. And they're also kind of dealing with X-Ray. By taking Anubarak, the best win rate talent here, they're forcing him on something else, and it looks like it's going to be the boss objective dominant force of Tyrael. Holy Ground, Sanctification. I don't think it's going to be Judgment, but that's hard to use, Sanctification, against Weary Day. If his silence is on point, he can try to prevent those. So who knows? It might be a Judgment.
Same with Sylvanas, right? Buds, Wailing Arrow could connect. I assume that WildHeart's going to take the Falstad. They're going to have some sort of off-lane pressure. Zergling looking to play the D.Va. Yeah, I mean, it's continued to work. No reason not to. Really good at doing what D.Va does best, soaking up lanes and being kind of a problem, something that you have to deal with. Also incredibly good at, fighting over the boss, fighting over shrines, being able to drop that bomb, give your team space. It still falls right into WildHeart's strategy, though. They want to create a core 3-4 players, pressure while they have the false side soak those side lanes. And this right here is it's the interesting one, right? They serve you a meal and they put a slice of pickle, but it's I don't know, maybe a spaghetti sandwich, right? You have a spaghetti sandwich with a slice of pickle on top. Why is the pickle
every
there?
Day.
Not really sure, but it tastes good. I promise you. The Tracer pickup from 30k, it does what it needs to do in the fact that it creates pressure. My main concern is that Tracer wants to find side put, like she wants to get behind you, and Sky Temple is not really a map that allows for that. Like BOE, you can get behind the enemy team, right? Sky Temple so postured. If the forts don't go down, then you never really have to put yourself in a position to get kind of flanked. And WildHeart has a completely different composition, right? They're not as fragile as they were last game. The temporal loop is not there from the Chromie, right? There was no cleanse for that. We talked about it in draft. So the Tracer doesn't get as much space this game as she did last game, but it is going to be exciting to see. I didn't expect the pickle on my sandwich, but here it is. We'll see. We'll see if 30k can take it. I'll give it to him. We'll see if we can get a game 5.
Alrighty.
He's gonna demo eat it.
Thank you so much, McIntyre, for the breakdown and always for the food analogies as we are here into Sky Temple, map number 4. Will it be a 3-1 for WildHeart on the left-hand side, or will 30k continue this best of 5 and take us to a map number 5? Let's find out here as we have WildHeart in the blue, Weary Day on the Stukov, Buds on the Falstad, Unaverted playing Sylvanas, Zergling on the D.Va, and Pitkit on the Anubarak. On the right-hand side, we got 30k, Liam on the Dahaka, Dino on the Tracer, Yasu on the Brightwing, X-Ray on the Tyrael, and Hazoobs on the Cassia. I actually think that this is all in for WildHeart. Biotic Armor is going to be a great way to shut down the Tracers. Same thing with Cocoon. It feels like there are too many pieces in place for WildHeart, in my opinion, Grubby, so I'm going to give it over to them. What are your thoughts as we have the map, or the players spreading themselves across the map?
I think normally I would call this as a WildHeart victory. I do think Dino's Tracer is incredible. When I think of Tracer harassing a backliner, Ming and Hanzo seem like excellent targets, but Falstad Sylvanas can kind of give her a run for her money. I think they one-on-one very well into Tracer. And there is loads of CC as well for WildHeart. So I would be worried if I had a Tracer on my team against this. But they have won all their Tracer games so far, 30k. And last game looked great. I think it's 50-50. I would give a small lead to WildHeart, though, to close it 3-1.
All right, we'll see if that'll be the case here, Grubby. Sky Temple, we have our first objective phase. Top and center of the map will be popping up at 2:30, and we'll have it up for contest in 3 minutes. Until then, grabbing these Siege Giants for bottom lane, and I'm assuming the priority onto the Bruiser camps fairly soon to push up in the top lane. The reason being, if you get the Bruiser camp to push into the fort front gate, and you take down that fort front gate, and you grab that top lane objective, top lane will fire onto the top fort. So you can actually take down an entire fort through that first objective with a little initial push from that Bruiser camp. We'll see if that'll be the case here in a little bit, or if bottom will be more of a priority, as that seems to be where a lot of these members are brawling out between 30k and WildHeart.
Tyrael continues. Oh, but wow, he probably got dragged from a bush or so, but he's going to be able to get away. Nice catch there by the Observer, as Tyrael continues to be one of the most mana-hungry tanks that there is. Very close to actually get unaverted. Nice shots there by Dino. I guess that answers whether he can threaten Sylvanas appropriately. The answer is yes.
Sylvanas, though, her scaling and her damage is really going to start, well, jumping up quickly, as we also have the unstable poison at level 4.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm looking at this top lane Buds versus Liam, and it's wow, but wow, Buds, wow,
really,
wow, Buds. Okay, all right, Liam will Hearth back for full.
Noted.
Okay, yeah, it's noted, Buds. We see you. Though this is going to be that Bruiser camp, as I was talking about a minute ago. We are seeing this going to be grabbed on the left and the right side, though Hazuab's going to take a little bit longer, as the Brightwing did move out to continue to soak top lane as Dahaka meanders his way into bottom lane. He does have that brush stock up and available. That's the reason he's kind of walking down here. And Tracer pushing in the Siege Giant still through bottom lane.
Yeah, one Siege Giant with 7 HP.
Oh,
still
okay.
got a couple of shots on the towers. As Dahaka is bot lane, let's see. He does still have Brush Stalker available, so when Liam is required, he could join instantly. Maybe this is one of those moments. WildHeart is getting really frisky with 30k's wall up there, trying to make their Bruiser camp beat the other. And it is WildHeart that starts to get the first channel on the laser in mid. I believe that's the first. Oh, it wasn't quite the first.
First enough.
Yeah, first most of the shots.
And the same thing as I was mentioning about the pressure through the top lane onto the fort front gates, the same can be said about mid lane, and that's exactly what Weary Day and crew are doing. Zergling actually pushed up during the mid lane engagement, or I guess during the bottom lane engagement on this D.Va, and opened up the map through that lane. So these shots from the mid lane belt or mid lane altar are going to fire off into. I actually can't see where it's firing off into. I'm assuming it's going to be top lane.
Yeah, it took down the tower and almost the gate, so that's where it defaults to next. And that's because they put that extra pressure on that mid fort. Nice job by WildHeart. 30k for their part tried to apply top lane pressure. They didn't get the wall early enough for the lasers to kill the fort. They decided to synchronize their damage and maybe try to get a bit more damage out that way. With 5 more shots coming out for Brightwing, that's going to put it at about 10% life. As Stukov with a big combo on Dahaka, he just manages to get out of that circle of death.
The sidewall needs to go down.
Get there.
Pit Kid's taking a lot of damage. We do have Healing Pathogen out from Weary Day. He does have that level 4 biotic armor as well. And that's what I was talking about during the opening of the game. I mean, it is, yes, 10 physical armor, but when you pop that biotic armor, you have your armor bonus is then to 75 for 2.5 seconds. So it's a nice way to deal with some of the Dino and the Hazuab's burst on the Tracer and the Cassia. Looking, though, on the left-hand side, we have the Siege Camp grabbed by WildHeart, and the same to be done by 30k. Oh, wow, okay, X-Ray is just standing in mid lane and just gets dove and potentially bursted. That forces the phase shift out from Yasu. Was it all a bait to get the members of WildHeart to step forward? I don't think it was that, as WildHeart actually, maybe it was. Maybe it absolutely was. I've heard it does go down.
Well, nice job there by Dino. X-Ray jumps back. Okay, I just added a trick to my playbook. Stand unmounted and random placed as Tyrael. Let them engage on you and get Dino to pop off. He needs to be in my game though, otherwise I don't think this works. As Dino and his team get a bunch of kills. That's double kill for 30k.
First 2 kills of the game, as we have our next objective phase popping up in bottom lane. The first 2 objectives on this map are standard, top and middle for the first, 1 in the bottom lane, as you actually see the announcement right now for that one. 10 talent here is very close for both sides. Sanctification, as you called, Grubby, not going to be that judge material. I'm assuming it's a Gust Falstead, Wailing Arrow Sylvanas, fairly standard heroics across the board. There's no way I see a world where we see Locust Swarm here. This is going to be a Cocoon to try and shut down the Tracer. And, I mean, we can laugh at it, but look at Dahaka bottom lane. Dahaka bottom lane is actually sitting in a bush where we have just so many members of WildHeart pushing in, and Dahaka's just sitting there. Just if okay, I can't believe. Okay, so he does actually walk out.
No.
Isolation misses. Haunting Wave from Sylvanas.
Nice polymorph.
Was polymorphed, and she should go down. Ball Lightning is going to bounce from player to player, and it's not going to be spread to Unaverted. Unaverted lives.
No volleyball with Unaverted. He's being excluded from the game right before it was too late. As WildHeart manages to keep him alive. It was a neat volley by Yasu, preventing the Haunting Wave backwards. Liam not quite getting his... maybe he was overthinking it. He'd been in that bush for so long, he didn't get the skill shot right on Sylvanas. That was following a fairly standard path. Now, Liam kind of living on the edge there. He's got that 50% spell armor, so he can keep popping and popping and popping and surviving. But he didn't hit the ton.
Wailing Arrow just came out from the Sylvanas and just silencing the enemy team. It's crazy, Grubby. I keep looking at the 30k health bars and they just don't fall down. Big mech explosion. There's the amplified speed on that. Circling gets back into the mech. You had the sanctification from the Tyria to buy some time. Gust from Falstead. Dino the target. Recall comes out right next to Buds. He's not able to find the kill. Circling, trying to chase in. The kill won't happen. Liam actually gets the Hearth away without being interrupted, but that is a Tyrio kill. But the polymorph slows down Zergling. Zergling will lose their
isolation
mech.
on Stukov.
Isolation on Stukov. He gets picked off as well. Liam low. There's a Cocoon once again under Tracer, and it doesn't seem like the members of 30k are sweating much over this engagement, as there's a little burrow from Liam and a little essence popped as well.
Tyrael dying meant 50% damage debuff when his ghost is floating around haunting you on WildHeart's team. And when he explodes, that debuff remains for a while. That meant it was very hard for WildHeart to kill anyone else after they took down Tyrael. And Liam's ZB completed. His his Hearthstone, busy actually. He got busy. As his Brush Stalker managed to get back in the fight, he has a wonderful isolation and drag tongue on Stukov that prevented the disengaged heroic from Stukov coming out, and that saved the fight here. So let's do an assessment. Structurally, who is ahead? That's what matters the most in any game of Heroes of the Storm. The structures, and especially on Sky Temple. And it's 30k. They have a small lead in both XP and structures.
That small experience, or excuse me, that structural advantage will be found through the bottom lane, as you can see on the minimap. A little bit of damage on that bottom left fort. 13 talents here just now achieved by the side of WildHeart Esports, and they have what we've joked as the true heroic for Weary Day on the Stukov, the Virulent Reaction. Flailing Swipe, it's beneficial, it's good as a disengaged tool, but Virulent Reaction, it sets up kills, it sets up blow up, and that could be the case here. Pit Kid, gonna try and burrow charge, a big CC train, wow!
Yeah.
Cocoon
Great
onto
kill
the
there.
Tracer. Is the CC available, Pit Kid? Okay, what's the choice
Brightwing
here?
Z is back. Brightwing Z is back. Who's he going to use it on? No one needs it yet. He first just shows up here. Weary Day takes a lot of damage. Yasu trying to blink away. He's taking a lot of heat. The blink away on the blinker herself. Yasu survives as Dino provided the fallback point. I really thought Circling and Butts were going to take him down there. But still, the spoils of war go to the victor. And that is Weary Day. Not in the war yet. Weary Day, that's WildHeart. Not in the war, but in this battle. And it nets WildHeart a very nifty fort. Big question is, are they going to do the boss?
I was thinking the exact same thing, Grubby. I was looking at boss and I said, the death timers are low. The map isn't that in favor of WildHeart. I don't think they're going to go for it, but it almost seems like WildHeart wants to feign that they are. Forcing rotations around the boss pit and splitting the enemy team. You can see Dahaka is working through bottom lane. Brightwing might have been showing through mid. So there's a couple things that they were able to scout out on the mini-map from WildHeart's side. But X-Ray, hanging around right now, has that level 13 talent here, holy ground. Top lane. We have the Buds dive. No way you make it out of this one, bud.
Okay, wow, this is so cool. Tyrael is all that X-Ray and 30k need to steal the boss. They send both of their main assassins top to deal with Falstad, who they knew is doing global stuff. And meanwhile, that was the slowest boss ever from WildHeart. They were trying to sell this semi-illusion while taking bottom temples. Oh, D.Va steps off the point with 8 shots remaining. Why? There was just 1 more second on the temple, and they get the final 8 shots. But D.Va came here in a misguided attempt to perhaps steal the boss, even without their Falstad.
I think that was exactly it. There might have been discussions in their comms on the side of WildHeart saying, you know, oh, Zergling, rotate up, we can, you know, dunk the D.Va mech on the point for the explosion to zone back the enemy team. But I don't think Tyrael cares too much about that. X-Ray, he throws the Eldruin's Might out. He probably, he had Sanctification as well, so that's just whatever, in my opinion. Yeah. And we do see those last 8 shots, as you were mentioning, Grubby, in favor for 30k, and the entire top lane temple will go over to their side. But Cocoon onto Cassia, will this yield a kill?
Sanctification, perfect. And, oh, Cassia jumps out because Hazu felt like he could. I wonder if that was a big misstep, actually. He takes 90% of his health in damage. Liam, oh, big isolation there on Falstad. The sticky bomb as well. The sticky bomb hits multiple targets, 70% slow and a lot of damage. There's 2 people going down. Mighty Gust never got used. Liam with the fantastic silence, the holy ground still being effective in preventing an escape there. Brightwing with the triple last hit. What is this? Yasu, the support kill stealing? You get reported in other MOBAs for this, but not in Heroes of the Storm, where supports are allowed to shine. And Yasuops definitely is, as is the rest of 30k. They've got a bunch of kills, they've got 3 siege weaponry tools here. Never assault a castle without siege weaponry, and they have it. Are they going to go core? I think that's 1 bridge too far, but a massive stroke to get ahead in this race for 30k.
Yasu just needed to buy a few extra items back at the Hall of Storms. They needed those last hits to get their CS a lot higher there, Grubby, so that's the reasoning we're seeing that.
I see.
And top lane tempo will be still up and active. This is still that last objective phase we were talking about where D.Va stepped off the point, the boss is grabbed, and Tracer kind of works her way back to that top lane, grabs a wave, but this is going to be more shots into, I'm assuming, the top lane keep front gate from the top lane objective phase. It's unraveling against the side of WildHeart. WildHeart looks so good in map 1. Wow!
Cocoon dodge. Lovely.
I'm blown away by that. Sanctification that will be used awkwardly.
Yeah, not blown away by that.
Nah.
But, trying to steal Tracer's thunder. It's like I'm gonna block Wailing Arrow with Sanct.
X-Ray was just yelling in comms, me too, me too, me too! Just...
No, but still, you know, this is totally fine. It's 3 keeps versus 2.
Yep.
You've used a bunch of heroics, Tyrael, 70 seconds. Nothing really major going on. Liam playing very safe here, wants to see where WildHeart is first. Just look at that vision, right? I'm looking only at 30k. All they see is circling. If they make a play on circling, those 3 hidden members are going to do a counter gank. 30k is not taking the bait. Looking at the other vision, they don't know that Dino was there in the bush. Now they know. Every team is completely aware of each other's potential epic plays.
All right, so Hasu steps forward. I'm watching this unfold in this top lane keep push or keep front gate push. Sylvanas uses the black arrows to lock down the tower. She throws the haunting wave back. Actually, still having the arrows up, she'll poke at the tower a little bit more. Zergling has the micro missiles to take that down. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, Liam on the Dahaka is split pushing out of his mind, forcing those waves into the core, forcing a situation that the members of WildHeart have to deal with, but also staying out of vision, not showing that he's in that bottom lane pushing things out, which kind of creates that moment of where's the Dahaka? Did he brush stalk into a place where we didn't hear the audio cue? Is he still in bottom lane pushing things out? In a few seconds, the members of WildHeart will see him pushing things out in bottom if he steps forward. But no, it's a back off. Liam is going to Hearth. Boss is up in 1 minute. Siege Giant camps are up in about a minute on the right, and the left side's already up and available. And you see WildHeart going for the quick rotation for said Siege camp for the bottom lane. But the big discussion here, Grubby, single objective phase coming up in 30 seconds and a level to go for WildHeart before they have 20s. How do you play this?
Just turtle up, question mark? Does WildHeart just say, we take nothing? And that's too passive of an approach. You just lose keep. So they try to maybe get another kill on someone. Will Dahaka just meander into bottom lane? Oh, I love that safety play by Liam. He's been really solid this game. I would never do that. I would not stand on this bridge here. I would go somewhere where there's something to do, and that's how they get you, isn't it?
D.Va shows through bottom, Falstad pushing up as well. The vast majority of, well, I guess you could say Weary Day, Unaverted Picket, they're not showing, and Liam is just respecting him. Liam and crew are respecting the fact that Liam's by himself, but look at this rotation. Hazuob's checking the bush, not face checking the bush. Take that into your own Stormly game. Rush Shock in from the Dahaka as well. Zergling, very low mech. Tunneling claws from Liam. He's trying to get into this, but the Gust forces back the enemy team. Liam is all by himself. Was this a mistake from the Dahaka? He takes so much damage from the D.Va mech explosion. Dahaka goes down. WildHeart have a little bit of control in this fight. Yasuo on the Brightwing has got 2 HP. Buds with the level 20 flight gets to a safe position, but if he actually stayed over there, he would have found the kill into Yasuo. The haunting way forward. There's the holy ground to force back the enemy team. WildHeart feel like they're all in on this team fight, Grubby.
Dude, tempo is not being looked at right now.
No.
30k is thinking of flipping it here in a 4 versus 3.
Big burrow charge, root underneath the Tyrael, but the blinks from Yasuo are A-okay. And we're on 20s on both sides, but I remain, Grubby. If Buds didn't take that short distance flight, he would have been next to the Brightwing, and I think that would have been a Yasuo death, continuing this engagement in favor of WildHeart.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, Temple's not the priority. More map pressure through a boss is, and we're seeing the play right now for this bottom lane. They're forcing back Tyrael, so he's not in range for the Eldruin's Might. The Gust is way too early right there. There's going to be some CC. There's the Eldruin's Might. Flailing swipe number 1. Flailing swipe number 2. Cocoon onto this Tyrael. A new Brack is dead. We have Liam back into this isolation. Contagion spreading to the enemy team. Stukov goes down. Falstad goes down. The Holy Ground steals the boss. And ladies and gentlemen, 30k are going to find a kill onto Unaverted. And 30k are going to run through bottom lane and take us to a game number 5. This is a potential reverse sweep. Grubby, our season is full of them. Can 30k reverse sweep this, or will it be a shutdown game in game number 5? We'll have to find out in a little bit, because this is absolute insanity. 30k are making an insane comeback in this best of 5 series in our week number 6, day number 1.
Do they really need Baby D.Va right here?
Yes.
By the way, can I just commend Yasuo on insane Brightwing escapes there. X-Ray too with the sanctification in that fight there at the bridge. When all hope should have been lost for 30k. Liam went in, did get hit by the D.Va mech when Dark Swarm 50% spell armor was not up. He turned it on 0.3 seconds after the D.Va mech exploded. Dahaka missed his contagion. He tried to do that early engage. He has been playing a great game. Let's not be too critical. Just look at the situation. You're 4v5. How 30k managed that was fantastic. By applying pressure on the bridge, starting to distract and occupy WildHeart there, knowing that boss will be the fallback point, that if they do not delay them, then they're going to get it too fast. Now they gave themselves a chance, bravely fighting 4v5. First Holy Ground got countered. Second one, when it came back, thanks to that Horadric Reforging level 16 talent, came back on the point. There was too much going on at the boss fight to really be able to cast it. Even if Bahamut and I both talk simultaneously at maximum speed, we would not be able to say everything that happened. I'd love to see it again. Maybe a PSD underwear highlights play later from McIntyre can kind of highlight that again at some point. Sick fight, 2-2 in the score. We've got a series down to the final map.
McIntyre, let's get you back in here. Was it the fact that 30k changed their underwear between the first set and the second, or was it just absolute domination and control from 30k in maps 3 and 4?
We did suggest that after the break they'd had changed the underwear, so it maybe, you know, no one can say otherwise, right? But no, they definitely did change the way that they drafted and the way that they're playing these 2 games, right? And they've also picked up that Tracer pick that seems to be having so much success. This was actually a really close game. Started off, you know, nice casual Sky Temple. We do the trade on the first shrine. We fight over bottom. 30k kind of pulling ahead there. But I think where the game really broke out in their favor was when they were able to find the pick on Buds in the top lane, right? That's one thing that Falstad players really have to be careful of, is just knowing where the players are at on the other team and figuring out, you know, in this case, where Tracer is at, right? She's the one character that can definitely find the Buds on the Falstad and make the play and pick, and was able to, completely turning the way the game was played. 30k piling up kills on the easy camp, getting further and further ahead. But, props to WildHeart for being able to pressure the top lane, get that hard camp pretty 20, and then find some way back into this game with a pick there onto the Dahaka. So it did come down to a boss fight. It just so happens, and we always harp on Sky Temple and how important bosses are. That Tyrael, right? Being able to holy ground, being able to continue to pressure and come out on top. Dahaka able to dig in there last second. Globals are pretty good too, right? And 30K able to clean up the fight because of it. It was a crazy back and forth game considering how dominant 30K was in the beginning. Shout out to WildHeart for still being able to try to find a way back in. They had to do the boss. Clear 5v5 boss fight would never go in WildHeart's favor, so to force it, possibly be able to find a way to sneak it, maybe find a pick around it. It was a really good call, just better executed from 30K, and here we go, game number 5.
You said it perfectly, McIntyre. We are getting ready for game number 5 and our first best of 5 of the day. Could we see the reverse sweep of 30K into WildHeart, or will WildHeart shut it down in map number 5? We're going to take a short little break. We're going to stretch our legs, and we're going to get ready for that game number 5. In that short break, I encourage you to hit ! prize pool to check out the prize pool. And if you'd like to donate towards that prize pool, it's always encouraged and appreciated. Thank you for supporting HeroesCCL and supporting Heroes Esports in general, as we are at $11,627.33. Thank you all once again for the immense support. We'll see you in a few minutes for map number 5. Who will take the series? We'll see you in a little bit. Welcome back to HeroesCCL. We were just discussing, that last map, and we're done discussing that because we're getting ready for map number 5, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Bahamut. I'm joined by Grubby and McIntyre as always, and we sit here getting ready for map number 5 between WildHeart Esports versus 30K. Will this be the reverse sweep, the third reverse sweep of the season, or will we see a flop and will WildHeart shut things down? We're heading off to Cursed Hollow for map number 5. This is going to be the map choice of WildHeart Esports. Funny enough, okay, so the losing team, for anyone that doesn't know, has either first pick or map pick priority. WildHeart is the losing side, opting for map pick. So WildHeart has a game plan in mind. The one thing I want to point out, and sample size, as Grubby has mentioned, is small here in HeroesCCL. We've had 3 maps played by WildHeart and 30K. Each on Cursed Hollow. 30K has a 100% win rate on this map, whereas WildHeart has fallen once on Cursed Hollow. So I'm just going to say right now, GG, well played. 30K, they just do the reverse sweep. Let's get on to the next series, ladies and gentlemen. But this is exciting. This is actually really exciting. Cursed Hollow is a tried and true map. It's our MOBA standard, if you will, when it comes to Heroes of the Storm. This is the map that everyone plays a bunch of times up until you hit to like level 10 or something like that. So it's a nice map to kind of close things out in this first best of 5, but there's a lot of things to discuss here. There's a lot of camps to be grabbed. Global pressure. McIntyre is massive on this map. This is a great place for hooks from Stitches, Diablo Shadow charges. Like, what is your kind of thoughts getting into this map in playstyle or even expectations from these teams?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is a map where globals definitely come into play, and the tanks that can find picks are also super effective. The interesting part about Cursed is just how diverse it can be in timing as well, right? Sometimes you see this map end at 12 minutes, right? And it's just like, wait, that was really weird. How did that happen? And other times, it goes like 24, 25. So it really depends on how the teams play and if they're able to hit their windows. It'd be like playing a fighting game and landing the full combo, right? At times you can throw a punch, you can throw a kick, but if you throw a punch, kick, and a headbutt, if you get a curse, get a boss, and get a pick all at the same time, there's avenues to just win outright. So a lot of the time, I think with this map, people tend to play a lot slower, a lot more methodic. And you're right, they do the camps, they pressure the side lanes, and trade bosses, right? A lot of times just trading bosses. So it'll be interesting to see, where these teams go. I think Yasu starting off with a Brightwing first pick, great choice from 30K. He played a great Brightwing last game. I'd say even possibly winning them the game in the last team fight because of his polymorphs and his his timings are just really good on the character. And she's great at this map, right? She's really good soaking side lane, able to show up in team fights, able to protect the solo laner if WildHeart chooses to get that pick, right? Like, let's say Buds dying last game. If Brightwing was on the side of WildHeart, Buds may have lived, right? But there's 3 characters that WildHeart has decided to lean into that we do not care if they are picked or not, and that is going to be the Lost Vikings. So is it interesting? I mean, here we go. Game number 5, right?
Very risky play considering that 30k plays a lot of Vikings and will have a lot of theory craft on how to deal with them, and has all the picks left yet to try and counter them, either by killing the Vikings, out-pushing them, or having like an undefeatable 4-man. Or even a 3-man that holds up pretty well against the 4-man. So taking Sylvanas here is partially a push power, same with the noob, and it's partially a removal from WildHearts, as Viking Sylvanas together can be really strong.
Yep, agree completely. I think like the Sergeant Hammer is definitely in that territory that we're considering for split pushing. I would say after last game, WildHeart had the Anub Sylvanas combo, and I'd say Cassia did a really good job of holding against those pushes in the side lane. So the Cassia picked up early, maybe as a counter to know that they may take Hammer, right? They may take the extra push comp and what characters hold and defend really well. Cassia being one of them. And now, what characters do we not want to play against? Chromie, super effective on the objective. Temporal Loop is something we do not want to deal with, as well as, 30k saying, well, guess what? We do not want to deal with that Stitches hook either. I'm going to be banning it out. So a lot of the pick heroics that they have taken out of the game here in these 2 bans. We'll see if WildHeart continues to get ambitious with this draft, continues to lean into the Chaos realm, or draft something more standard. Again, they do need to hold this push that the Sylvanas and Anubarak will provide.
I was thinking Malf May perhaps, because May with level 4 Slush Ball can actually mimic Sylvanas and Anubarak a bit in shutting down defensive structures. More so if you go full Snowblind build, though I've never seen it in CCL. You can shut down buildings for 6 seconds, which still 60% of what Sylvanas can do. But it's going to be Garrosh and Malf. Garrosh, the great defender of backlines. Not the best engager, so you need to fight over a point, basically. He's point control, bunker control. Malf coming out once again, and here is the final flex pick. We have triple global from 30k with a heavy pusher in Sylvanas. This is very capable of dealing with Vikings.
Trying to think here, like, what do you end with? Like, is it actually, as you were mentioning, bunker? Like, do we see a blaze here? All right, it's Karazim for the double. Alrighty.
It's...
No, I mean like Bunker Wars, like the custom maps in various Blizzard games.
Oh, fair. Sorry. I literally started just thinking about Blaze. Yeah. I was just like, all right, yeah, Blaze actually could kind of work with this. You chain CC, you toss someone. Anyways, McIntyre, what are your thoughts on this draft? And who do you think takes game number 5?
I don't know. This is a really hard one. I'll be just straight with you guys. I don't think that Garrosh is good at all. And especially when you allow the other team to take 2 characters into it, right? He's going to get gapped a lot in this game, right? When you step up, you get knocked up by the Anub. What's that?
What is gapped?
Like, there is a space between you and the other person where you cannot interact, right? And Garrosh's Q is that gap. And a lot of the characters on 30k's side can deal with him before he gets into that space, right? Like the Falsight can slow with a Q, Anub can knock up with a Q, Sylvanas can Q. Like, all of their abilities are spaced on the Garrosh, so he's never going to really be able to interact, rather just get poked down and forced back. The double support is a good thing to keep him alive. We'll see. It's going to be up to the Vikings completely and how well they team fight while the Vikings are soaking the map. I'm going to give it to WildHeart. I think we'll see if the Vikings pays off, but it is going to be a very, very close game.
Alrighty, thank you, McIntyre. We'll see you at the end of game number 5, but we're into Cursed Hollow. And as you just mentioned, we got some Vikings here for the side of WildHeart Esports. Zergling on the Olaf, Balog, and Eric. We got Buds on the Karazim, Weary Day on the Malfurion, Pit Kid on the Garrosh, and Unaverted on the Cassia. For the side of 30k, trying to make this reverse sweep happen, we got Liam on the Dahaka, Dino on the Sylvanas, Hazuabs on the Falstad, X-Ray playing Anubarak, and Yasu on the Brightwing. You know what here, Grubby? I wrote down WildHeart. I'm actually going to go 30k. I read off these.
You betrayed your notebook.
I betrayed my notebook. I scratched it out. I had this weird, like, I was looking at the WildHeart draft and I was like, yeah, I agree with you, McIntyre, but for something about this, I'm just leaning into 30K. Maybe I'm cursing 30K. Maybe I'm excited about a reverse sweep. What do you think about this Curse Hollow map and setup?
I think if what I think I know is true about Vikings and about all the heroes that are picked here, I feel like this shouldn't be close. I feel like 30K should win this game very hard. I'm thinking like 2-3 level lead.
Wow.
Like McIntyre, I'm not super enamored by Garrosh picks in most cases. Karazim gives him some movement speed, but I don't think tributes are powerful enough of an objective to allow Garrosh's point control to matter. And yes, they did push down 2 towers here, but I think that's going to happen to them in different lanes as well. I think this fort is going to go down. I think 30K accepts that. They're going to try to get mid-wall, maybe top fort as well. We'll see, because WildHeart is starting to run away with structural damage. They are doing this faster than what 30K is doing in the top lane.
You make a very good point in that. Also to note, this is going to be the boss lane for WildHeart as you see that boss in the bottom left of your screen. Well, not yet, because we're not 5 minutes in. Either way, this is going to be a priority in the structural advantage, and here's what I kind of expected in the map, and this is why I initially wrote down WildHeart to win this game, is because of what's happening here. Vikings, so top and mid, and the rest of WildHeart just hard push their boss lane. We're seeing that happen right here. Fort goes down, sub 2 minutes already. Weary Day getting the vision. We have Unaverted stealing the siege camp away, and yes, stealing. Usually the siege camp is grabbed by a Falstad or someone else. Not going to be happening here. Sylvanas up in the top lane, almost finding the fort as we have an Eric and an Olaf pushing her back, but that top lane fort does go down, so we have forts traded out. Different times on those. There's the toss onto Yasu. He's going to get bursted down, and that'll be first blood over to WildHeart. Liam has to brush stock in to try and turn things around. We'll just be able to tongue drag to pull a Siege Giant in, but this is just hard into the face of 30K from WildHeart as we are just now seeing first objective spawning in the top center of the map.
And here's what Vikings are best at, Bahamut. If the Viking assistant team, the 4 members that are not Vikings, the support cast, Vikings are the main star, if they get any kills at all, it punishes mistakes heavily. And the reverse, if the side of 30K gets a kill, it is not really heavily punished because there's always the rubber band effect of XP global acquisition by Vikings. The 4-man becomes the 3-man, turtles for a bit, and it's fine. So that Brightwing kill, that hurts. In the meantime though, 30K is still holding on best they can while trying to carve out the first tribute. Circling though, being real annoying with Eric in the top lane. He's got Eric the Swift, which means he can pretty much prevent 2 heroes from capping a tribute forever. It's gonna need 3 heroes with a flank to take him down.
But you got that big old Olaf coming in. You got to spin to... Okay, never mind. Eric was swift. He was braved. We will remember him for 17
bottom lane
seconds.
to Nubarak. Just got completely bursted by Unaverted.
Youch.
I don't know how he got so low, but he had no bro charge to get away. Unaverted hit him with a big combo. They're still working on this keep wall.
I mean, should we not get comfortable here, Grubby? Should I already start, sitting up in front of the camera because we're going to be seeing a bottom lane keep already being threatened? Are we going back to our cameras? Hazuabs has the channel on this. Cool, but this is still wild. Yeah, awesome. But WildHeart, they're keep front gate is down 4 minutes into the game. Phase shift in from the Brightwing. Root onto this Dahaka. A lot of damage from Hazuabs, but he's got no mana. Dino has to get away with the short distance haunting wave. Unaverted, taking a lot of damage as well. Sylvanas will go down. Bud's punching his way through the Falstad. Unaverted so very low, gets polymorphed by the Cassia, and Karazim not able to make anything happen against the Falstad as this is Pit Kid backing off. Brightwing just going to be looking for the vision and bottom. Still though, I mean, Grubby, when we talk about map advantage as we've been doing so in this series, WildHeart's still ahead. They got the keep front gate down and bottom. They're threatening on to keep. Boss is up here in about 10 seconds on the map, so Boss could be grabbed by WildHeart, and actually we see the rotation already coming out from WildHeart towards that Boss.
Yeah, exactly. They have that space. They have the scouting. This is going to be Boss. It's going to be Boss on keep. It's very likely going to take keep, and that is a problem for 30K. The power of globals is liberty, freedom. the option to go anywhere you want, be a globetrotter.
Bosses for
But
all,
the responsibility of globals, boss trade, the responsibility of globals is to make the right decision at the right time, to be where you need to be. That invade, that collapse, 5v4, which by the way went 1-for-1, not the best for 30k. Maybe it came too late. Maybe you need to reel in the enemy team and allow them to step up past that fort. As there is a Warlord's challenge, he's going to get the Dahaka. There's the Brightwing coming in, but there's a root. Cleanse.
Silence from Malfurion. Toss onto Buds, actually, with the end of the fray. Hazoabs comes in with a massive gust into the wall. Hazoabs gets very low. Ball Lightning will go out, but it will be canceled since there's the cocoon from the Anub'arak. Boss working its way through the bottom lane. Sleep onto
Boss
this.
root.
Oh, that would have been very good, actually, but Slam will be a second or two late. Boss now threatening keep in bottom lane. Boss in the top lane in favor for 30k, threatening onto a keep front gate of WildHeart. WildHeart should really only lose the keep front gate, but that's a wonderful toss. The Wailing Arrow does nothing, Grubby. The Wailing Arrow does absolutely nothing.
It was too late to save this poor bug. Wailing, nice connection, but the CC chain for WildHeart was too good. They're still stepping up. I'm not sure this is a good idea, Bahamut.
Well, WildHeart thinks it is, and Zergling is going to get very low on one of these Vikings. We have a polymorphed Garrosh trying to work his way back. Huge Groundbreaker out from him. He is a body check Garrosh, so he's not building Q stacks. He's going to be trying to slow enemy members, reduce healing, because body check, keep in mind, does reduce healing by, I believe, 30%. And
35 is it?
Movement speed 35. The
okay.
I always flip those two. I actually checked myself. So movement speed 35%, healing reduced by 30, and the Brightwing phase shift is mega telegraph, so that's really easy to hit onto that target. But upkeep goes down in bottom. The core shielding got scratched by the boss, and we see another objective phase coming through. 1-to-1 in those channels, but Liam gets tossed. Ball Lightning is canceled out from the burrow in the ground. And is this fight going over to 30k? It seems kind of bad for 30k here, Grubby.
How did Falstad get there? How did Hazoabs get in the middle of the melee? Misjudgment, perhaps, I'm not sure. As there is a return kill on Malfurion. Yazu, though, in a very bad spot. We saw him actually get away from that in Sky Temple, but not this time. Liam survived a lot of punishment, but 30k jumped in a little bit too much through the meat grinder. There is the second tribute.
WildHeart just goes to end. Look at WildHeart. They're gonna go in.
No, they're gonna go to Siege Camp, right?
You sure? Okay.
Just a deny on the Siege Camp.
Okay, Unaverted's positioning was making me think that they were just gonna like tag the camp, run past it, because anyways.
So you grab Siege Camp, then you got your own 2 camps, and then you can actually fight for this awkwardly spaced tribute. Like, from WildHeart's perspective, right?
Yeah,
they grab all the camps, then they can pressure mid to deny position on the map to come from 2 sides for 30k, or you can pressure top to make all the next future bosses matter more. What is clear is that WildHeart has a lot of space being created through these camps, through the Vikings, and 30k is left scrambling for options that are not clear to them right now. They don't have enough information.
I'm looking at the minimap. It's just spiraling for WildHeart, I feel. Like, it seems like they're in the driver's seat, and everything 30k is doing is responsive and reactionary. Though this curse, this objective could yield curse for WildHeart. We see the big setup around this from 30k as well. Falstad is in bottom lane, does have flight up and available. Gust is up as well. Zergling going for the channel on the Eric. Yasu has the interrupt on the Brightwing, but this Brightwing is fairly far split. Cassia goes in for the damage on to X-Ray, not able to find anything into that. This is a awkward engagement from the side of WildHeart, or from 30k, because they're kind of all collapsing, and it's very well read by WildHeart. Gust pushes a few enemy members away. A mega gust from Hazoabs right there, and Garrosh goes down. Phase shift in from the Brightwing. This is looking better and better for the side of WildHeart. Ball Lightning gets a few bounces. There's going to be Dino so very low, but oh my god, the backline Zergling trying to make something happen here, and that is a dead Viking. I cannot believe the turn of events. I actually thought we were going to see a lot more blood on the ground, but the Vikings continue to do Viking things, and Hazoabs almost gets caught out by one of the Vikings. The channel comes through from Sylvanas. We're 2-2 on objective phases. Bosses will be respawning here shortly. 35 on the top right boss, 26 on the bottom left. 16 talent tier coming in just a second for the side of WildHeart, and a level and then some to go for 30k. This should be an easy boss for WildHeart, at least the way that the positioning is. They're going to be here early. It's a little awkward. This is like the Storm League games when someone pings it, you all show up, and you're like, wait, there's still 5 minutes on the bus, or like 10 seconds on the bus, not 5 minutes. So you're just like hanging around, just
start dancing.
Yeah, you just start pressing T, you start pressing I.
I rebound those, but yeah, F4 for sure.
F4, yeah, F4. Sometimes you got to hit Alt before that as well.
They're faking boss. Did Unaverded just show? They're just going to throw him in, 7-sided root.
Bye.
No!
Hazuab's actually, that Gust, I feel like that Gust actually helped WildHeart. It just pushed everyone. It kind of pushed everyone on top of the Anubrak, and now Liam gets the phase shift from the Brightwing. Huge sounds from Malfurion. Liam actually, I think, trying to use Essence or burrow away. Goes for the tongue drag, gets tossed around, and maybe this Grubby is where WildHeart runs through boss. No, I'm just kidding. They're gonna go get boss.
Maybe now. Maybe they're gonna turn around.
Wait, Curse though. Curse. Oh, it's gonna be. Sorry. I thought Curse was, or the tribute was already up, but no. Okay.
Wait. Garrosh is coming, Balo goes down, only Garrosh is coming, Bruiser Camp. You know, this isn't too bad for 30k. Nothing really changes for them in those 2 deaths. They lose 2 frontliners. Nothing really changes. They were always going to lose boss if they didn't step up. Okay, this one matters. Oh my god, that's spin to win damage.
There's like... That reminds me of so many games where it's just like, oh, it's just 3 Vikings and a Garrosh. Oh no, it's 3 Vikings and a Garrosh. Vision being grabbed, and this is looking like an awkward fight that is... But look at bottom lane. Siege Giant Camp being grabbed, boss coming through. Garrosh does go down, but a win condition is being set up through bottom, and WildHeart, they don't get the curse, but they're going for to end. They're gonna go try end the game with Sylvanas dead for 9, or is it a bait?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely get the core to 30%. I don't know if you can get it to 0. I don't think you can. There's Gust, there's Cocoon. But still, WildHeart, like, they're fine, right? They're ahead in XP. They now have time to depush Bruiser. They are cursed, but Vikings can clean up and hold. Boss goes down before it scratches the paint.
Oh, well, unfortunate for WildHeart. Actually, not even really that unfortunate, because if we look at the map... Oh, wait, hold on. Fight will break out in mid. Good route. Good route.
You know, both teams have done a great job limiting losses. That was a nice dodge there. Oh, there's the isolation coming back from 7-sided strike. Great move on Buds. He was trying to dodge Drag Tongue with the 7-sided strike, but it set him up for the isolation. The 1-2 punch taunt to try and keep himself alive. Does he still have Unstoppable? I'm going to take a quick check. No, he doesn't. He already used Indomitable. But, you know, WildHeart, they get their win condition boss. That doesn't end up paying off because they lost Garrosh top left. They couldn't really step up. Now they're up against boss. 30k is doing a fantastic job coming back. And yeah, they lost their bottom 2 structures, but everything else is still intact. And they've got the better team fight. They're not going to get caught off guard again by a Warlord's Challenge spin to win as a single assassin. Now they are together. Now their global comp isn't when to join up forces as 5. It's when to split up. When to split off. Now they're going to go as 5, and they're going to save Brushstalker in flight to prevent losing the game in the side lane, to clean up after winning a team fight. And I don't see how WildHeart can win a team fight anymore. 7-sided is not meant for this big 5-on-5. 30k looks like they're actually gonna, if not win, set up for an advantageous situation.
Garrosh pops the Warlord. Oh, no, he pops the Indomitable right there. There's going to be a little jump from the Vikings. Cocoon on to this Cassia. The Gust was used to split
Garrosh
back
can't
the
do
enemy
anything.
team. Huge burrow in from the Anubrak, and so many Vikings are going to get shredded in this. All 4 Vikings go down. No plate again from the Vikings is available or doable. Keep goes down. Boss is going to be working its way through this top lane, and the boss, keep in mind, still has 80% of its health, maybe even higher than that, but that's not what matters. What matters is the fact that WildHeart core is going to be falling here, and it's going to be WildHeart, the ones who are going to get reverse swept in game number 5. Liam unsure if he wants to Hearth or end the game, and that will be map number 5 over to the side of 30k. I called it absolutely perfect. I wasn't sweating at all. I'm sure that the doubters are very happy in chat, and McIntyre, How are you feeling? I saw you sending some messages during that game in the admin chat. What's a little clown fiesta, little monk steer maybe?
I gotta say I respect Liam there at the end, B-stepping back. I don't know if you guys caught. I think the bottom boss Buds was B-stepping. I think WildHeart was feeling pretty confident, but it turns out confidence sometimes can be pretty killer to your own success. And WildHeart just kind of losing sight of what their team wanted to do. I think they started it off so good. They drafted the Vikings, they drafted a really strong 4-man, and they just ran it down bottom constantly, pressuring, right? We talk about how do you counter globals, you make them use their global, and in this case, if the globals were to global in, the Vikings would be soaking those lanes and 30k would get behind in experience. So they played it perfectly, pushing bottom, pressuring it until level 9. They did not leave. They got the boss, they got the keep, everything looked good. All they had to do was just play for another boss, group around it, and then push with said boss. Instead, they did some weird, let's send Garrosh to go die while the boss walks down the lane, and then we have to fight a 3v5, and then that 3v5 leads into us getting globaled on, and then we die and stagger, and then we get the boss taken by the other team because their boss is still up because we didn't go and do that instead. And then they're pushing our top lane and we have Vikings, and we've forgotten that the whole point of having this character is to split on the map and soak the side lanes while the 4-man pushes together. Yeah, they just completely lost control. Monka steer, I think, is a good emote to describe that. In this case, them going down the mountain instead of up it. But yeah, really well played from 30k, finding the win there, holding it off. That curse was actually kind of the influence to them getting back into the game, and those picks following after it. So really well played from 30k. Able to take the reverse sweep here. Third one. CCL.
Big reverse sweep. Really sick. We actually have the king of Monkasteer, if you will, joining us right now. We got Yasu on the line. Yasu, can you hear us, my friend? And how are you feeling after that game number 5?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you. I'm feeling kind of good, a bit of a headache, but nothing to do with the games.
Oh, good to hear. You sound so very calm. I'm going to go ahead and throw it on over to Grubby, who's probably itching to ask you a few questions.
Hey, Yasu, congratulations on the third reverse sweep in CCL. We've been having more of them. It didn't look like it was going to go this way. You guys started off with 2 defeats with X-Ray on Diablo in what were very difficult Diablo games. Not easy to actually make a play. And then you guys switched over your draft style. Was that map-based, or were you adapting to new information gained during this match?
Mostly map-based. Personally, I think the 2 first maps, we should have won them. Like the first map, we had everything right at level 20, the payment, everything going on. Should have won that one for sure. And Shrines as well, I think we had the comp for it, but we just kind of hinted. It happens. But
Alexstrasza looked good.
Yeah.
I think that's the second time you play Alexstrasza in CCL. You rocked a nice 91k in healing, 0 deaths. You got a lot of effects there. What do you think went wrong in that game? You said inting.
I mean, basically, we stepped in a bit too much the first shrines we played, and the last shrine, the fight went well in the end, but we didn't hit anyone with silence and tomb. And if we did, then we for sure would have won the game, or at least get the keep.
Your sickest move on Sky Temple. You guys were down, I believe, Liam, who had been playing a fantastic game of Dahaka, but in this particular case, he missed his abilities. You're 4v5. You want to stop WildHeart from going to the boss, so you guys actually mount a 4v5 defense to buy time, and you had some sick moves on the bridge as Brightwing. 150 life, invisible friends, blink here, blink there, then the Sanct, and then that crazy boss fight.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. I mean, you're not dead till you have 0 HP, I guess.
Inspiring.
Very inspiring. McIntyre, any questions for Yasu here?
I'm curious, like, how do you feel about the support meta right now? I know in this series, the Uther and the Lucio were banned pretty much every game. And because of that, I feel like supports actually have a much more impactful feel on the game, right? Stukov, Brightwing, Polymorph with the Stukov root. How have you been enjoying that as a support player? Do you feel like you can carry games, have impact, now that the supports that kind of counter that are not seen or banned out?
I mean, I like the support meta because you have a lot of supports now that you can play and have a lot of impact. Lucio might be a bit too overrated. I don't ban it anymore, like you saw it.
Yeah.
They ban it, actually.
Yeah.
We are not gonna pick it anyway, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, there are a lot of supports that can do the job. Some are left behind for some reasons, like Alex Traza.
Yep.
But I mean, it's a really good support meta. You can bring in a lot of value.
Definitely.
Nice.
You've showed that too a lot, especially the Alex Stralza. I think.
And yeah, as for the Uther, I like banning him because it's especially about the Divine Shield. Like you can do so much dumb stuff with it.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Yasu, for joining us for this interview. Before I let you run out of here, are there any shouts that you'd like to give? The floor is all yours.
I mean, shout out to 30k and especially my team for not giving up that best of 5. Really well done. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us, Yasu. Congratulations in your Week 6 victory up against WildHeart. And we look forward to seeing you next weekend up against Storm Esports. You have a wonderful week of scrims, and good luck out there, my friend.
You two guys have fun.
Thank you for joining us, my friend. What a nice player. Like I say this about a lot of players, but they come into these interviews and they're so humble. They're just like, yeah, you know, like I made a mistake here and there, but you know, we turned it around. Like, or it's just like, we had that game, but you know, we rolled it back. So it's just really good to see. That was our first best of 5 of the day, and as you can see at the bottom, things have changed. We actually have Simplicity going up against Granite Gaming in a little bit, but we're gonna take a wee bit of a break. We're gonna get some map bans and some map picks happening. We're gonna get some players into a lobby. In that break, I highly encourage you to hit !PSD. You can actually get some amazing underwear over at their website, and if you hit that !PSD, you can check out the Wisdom curated selection. There's a lot of cool ones in there, like Bob Ross, some pizza, some bananas, or even the ones that McIntyre are wearing today, the Naruto ones. But !PSD will get you over there, and at checkout, you can get 20% off your order by using the checkout code WISDOM. We also encourage you during the break to check out the custom Matcherino page by hitting !prize pool. It'll get you a link over there. And if you'd like to donate towards the prize pool, it's always very much encouraged, and we thank you at home for supporting HeroesCCL. While we're in this short little break, we're going to take this time to also have a wonderful interview from Kyle Ferguson. He's going to be interviewing Zergling. We'll see you after the break for Simplicity versus Granite Gaming. Don't go anywhere.